Do you believe it's Dr. Doom?
What's on your evil mind?
Hold your insulting tongue and mark my words well.
How about this rumor that you were really hired, Mr. Stark?
Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Comic Book Chronicles. I am your host, Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter. You can find me at NewsNutsNeat on Twitter. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram.
Carolina with Columbia down the way.
And the sound effects you've heard come from none other than our man in Brooklyn, Agent_70 on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads.
What's up, everybody? Representing BK to the fullest, co-hosting from the Borough of Kings.
Representing BK to the fullest.
Straight from Brooklyn, better known as Brooklyn.
Yeah. And Benji, what up, good sir? How goes you? What we doing?
How you doing, Binge Games?
What did I just do? I don't know.
Oh, no.
Regardless, oh no, nothing. Don't worry about it. Folks, you can find this here podcast on the Coastal Podcast Network. That's CSPN.us.
Do it today.
You could also find us on your podcast personal place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Coastal Podcast Network's SoundCloud page.
Make sure to click like, subscribe, and make sure to leave us the best dang 5-star reviews you can, especially on Apple Podcasts.
Indeed. Whoa. I didn't do all my things. Great. Doing great here, guys. Hope all is well with the both of you. Thank you, sir. Yes, we're doing good. We just actually, well, let me finish this real quick. Hey, podcast personal place of choice, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, all that kind of good jazz. But you can also find us recording every Thursday night, mostly every Thursdays, on Thursday nights, 9:30-ish Eastern Standard Time, on the YouTube channel of the Kliq Nation. That's the youtube.com/the Kliq Nation, and twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles.
Make sure to click like, subscribe, hit the notification button so that you know when we are on live, and leave us some good reviews.
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, Benji, we're doing good here, sir. Appreciate you for asking. We got another, I would say, fun-filled night here, but we definitely info-packed, I would say, night going ahead of us with this, especially without having any shows to talk about. Although I probably could bring up Solo Leveling, but I hadn't watched the most recent one, so there you go. But we're going to start off with books with Immortal Thor number 6.
Immortal Thor number 6 is written by Al Ewing with art by Martin Coccolo. I'm going to double check where the accent is on his name. Let me just pull up our copy just so that I get that correct, because, you know, I feel like I don't want to maintain mispronouncing his name. Just give me a moment. And it is, oh no, it's not. Come on, Dad. Come on. So it is Martin Coccolo. So the stress is on the first syllable. You know what would make it a lot easier is if we actually typed it in with the accents, but you know, that's always an annoying thing whenever you have to type in accents, right?
Yes.
Colors are by Matthew Wilson and letters by VC's Joe Sabino. So we continue where we left off. And while we don't continue exactly where we left off at the end of last issue, the premise is still there. It is still a tale that is being told between kind of in retrospect, kind of in kind of a flashback. It's hard to tell, but that's kind of what it is. It's a story that Loki is recounting as the teller of the god of telling of stories, to Thor. And it's an old tale, And ultimately it does tie into what I guess the overarching story is that involves the good old Minotaur, Dario Agger from ROXXON. So that's like the greater part, and I'm gonna leave the rest to Roddykat to fill in some of the things that I always kind of skirt over because I always give the broadest strokes as possible.
So actually, we will get. There is some news about that. Speaking of that whole ROXXON thing in the news section, so we'll save a little bit of that for then. But yeah, I mean, Agent 70's kind of put it on there. The Loki's kind of back at his god or goddess of stories, because with this one, kind of you can kind of hard to tell which is which.
Right.
At the beginning of this until you get into the story, but yeah, recent events. Thor finds out his kind of mom might have something to do with what's going on with them. The story part, as I was going to tell Agent 70, feels kind of Scooby-Doo-ish in a way, because you have Thor who's kind of like, hey, let's just go over here in this dark, creepy cave, and Loki's like, no, let's not. I'm just gonna leave, and Thor just like grabbing him by his neck and was like, no, we're going in. So that part kind of felt slightly Scooby-Doo-ish for me. But also, as the cover, as you can see, says, it definitely does venture into a journey into mystery during the course of this story. And it's kind of funny because I called out a couple of, in my notes, a couple of things that kind of struck out at me in some things that are said. Like, basically, Loki's like, I'm out. Thor's like, I could eat, which is, something you would rarely ever never hear Thor kind of say. But, but also there's a character that shows up who's a giant that's called Skrimmer or Skrimmer? Skrimmer, yeah. Which basically, I don't know if not Agent 7. I don't know if Al Ewing did this on purpose, but that just sounds like the game Skyrim, which is it's just basically a shifting of letters apart, and I'm like, that's got to be purposeful, and that was kind of funny to me. But yeah, at the end, we kind of get to what Agent 70 was kind of talking about, and like I said, we got a little bit of news on later in the stories that may help shed some light on that last part a little bit more than what we're going to get next issue. So yeah, Al Ewing, like I said, we were talking before the show, Al Ewing is still kind of doing his thing, and there will be no shortages of us talking about them this week, because he's got like, what, 3-4 books?
Right. So I know I've said this before. We are now on issue number 6 of Immortal Thor under the leadership and writing of Al Ewing. I am thoroughly enjoying not only kind of the homages that Al Ewing has put in to like probably some of his favorite parts of the Marvel Thor history, but also tying in some of the mythology. There's definitely like hints of some of what Walt Simonson did here and there, definitely tying in with the mythology. If you are familiar at all with some of the Norse mythology, the original Norse mythology that Thor is a part of, this whole being unable to untie a bag, with giants, it sounds very much like a myth I probably read, way back when out of a mythology book.
Right. But I said, do they even still have that book in schools like we had?
I don't know if I ever took I don't think I ever read that book in class. I might have taken it out of the library once or twice, just because, with Thor and Hercules running around on the comic book page, I wanted to read the actual myths and see where, what these stories were based off of. Right. But ultimately, one of the things that Roddykat mentioned earlier, we talked about in our pre-production meeting about how I still am enjoying not just Al Ewing, paying homage and also honoring some of the history of Thor, not just in the original mythology, but also in the pages of Marvel Comics. He's also kind of gone back to using the old English way that Thor speaks, but kind of weaving in some of the modern slang that we know. As Roddykat mentioned, something about, well, I could eat, and you know, there's a couple of instances where Loki talks about noshing, and there's just a couple of just really fun interactions between Thor and Loki in this issue that Kokolo's art really helps to sell, but the writing is extra sharp too. So I'm very glad that Roddykat has caught up on this, because it's a lot more fun to talk about it if we both have read it. You know, and I don't necessarily have to skirt around some of the things I'd want to mention, but I really enjoyed this book. This is a definite Kliq of the Week candidate for me.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, like I said, as I told Agent 70 before show, and I kind of alluded to something like Al Ewing is probably one of my favorite writers. So there's always something good and fun, even with the difference between some of his old stuff and going into Immortal Hulk, like I was telling them before the show, or like I was reminding before the show, but somehow still kind of coalesce in books like this still, you know, as he's going. So he's kind of marrying the two, as it were, at this point, and still comes up with some good stuff. So, which again, we'll be talking about a little bit more actually in this next book, unless Agent 70 is got something else to say about Immortal Thor.
No, but I highly recommend, if you're not a Thor person, I still recommend this book. I'm a Thor person, so you know, I'm kind of a mark here, as it were, you know, to use a wrestling term. But at the end of the day, I think this is fun, obviously, because of the multiple elements of Thor history in the comics and in the mythology that are woven in here. It may be a little hard for some people to pick up, but I still think it's worth it. You know, you have the internet. It's not like the old days where you couldn't figure out what was going on.
I think this one might be easier I think this one might be easier to get into, though, because one is a new volume, and is, as far as I know, none of the things from the last volume or two is really in here.
Well, there's Dario Agger.
Well, there's that, yeah. But I mean,
yeah, there's Dario Agger. Like, you kind of need to know who the Enchantress is right now. And you kind of need to know who Scourge the Executioner is. That's the kicker.
Right.
Like, you kind of have to understand why that's a big deal for him to come back. But if you don't know and you just realize he's just there with the Enchantress, it doesn't matter. But obviously, if you have that context, it means even more.
Yeah, sure. And with that, we are going to go into the next book, which is Ressurection of Magneto #1 of 4.
Yes, this is a 4-issue limited series. This is the first issue, written by Al Ewing, with art by Luciano Vecchio, colors by David Curiel, and letters by VC's Joe Sabino. So I'm going to just quickly start the discussion on this book and hand it to Roddykat, because we actually discussed this in our pre-production meeting, and the first thing that jumped out at me is basically the first thing that pops up in this book. It's not kind of the overarching theme of this book, which is magic. The first thing that popped out at me is the person that Storm is hanging out with. And I completely forgot about this dude. And some of the things that they say about him in here, I was just like, well, so he's a normal guy. He's not a superhero, not a mutant, and not a former king. And you know what, Roddykat, and I'll let Roddykat say what he said in his reaction to that, and take the conversation from there.
Right. I think all I pretty much said was that, hey, look, it's just the facts, the reality of the situation, right? All of her past relationships has been one of those things that Agent 70 mentioned. So it was kind of a dig on all that, and this is the first quote unquote normal relationship that she's had today. And I'm kind of hoping this one sticks. You know, I mean, there are people who still, you know, love the whole her and Wolverine and her and Forge thing and whatever the case may be, and didn't really care too much about her and T'Challa, even though I did. But I don't know. I haven't heard anything about what people are saying about this one, even if they're kind of up to date with this one. But yeah, this is a fairly new relationship coming in. I guess that was definitely coming out of X-Men Red or going into X-Men Red, because I think I don't remember. I don't remember. I just saw him one day and was like, "Oh yeah, this dude's here," and he did some things, and he's on a Rocco with them, because. One, do you blame him following Storm?
Right.
You know, so like, hey, we'll go with his girl. So, but yeah, that being said, though, I thought so. I know there was last year was teased about a big thing happening with Storm, and I thought I didn't know that this was it. Because it kind of teased. It was like, yeah, Storm's going to be doing something kind of big for her, and I guess unless something else happens to come about this year that is going to be or coming out of this for some way, shape, or form, this might be it. So because even though the book is called The Resurrection of Magneto, like Agent 7 said, you know, like, yeah, she's kind of the one at the forefront of this partially because of their history, and you know, especially their friendship, relationship, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. I hold that thought.
Uh-huh.
I like the way Al Ewing wrote this particular section.
Mm-hmm.
Because a character in this book asks, Storm, were you friends with Magneto?
Mm-hmm.
And there is a very quick flashback montage. And I really enjoyed some of the moments that were chosen to be depicted here. Some you recognize, some you don't, but some you can definitely put into context.
Mm-hmm.
And I really enjoyed the answer that she gave. He was many things.
Yeah, which is true. there is a history between them to this point, and other people, but them two specifically, you know, especially in the Krakoan era, you know, it's been leading up to his death. So, but yeah, that being said, you know, the beginning of the book with her and her book and the dream kind of basically starts her on this journey that leads her through some of Al Ewing going back into his bag a little bit, because we see I called them the Ultimates at first, but then I was like, no, this is the Defenders, because Blue Marvel has been part of both, and he wrote both. Al Ewing wrote both of those, but this is definitely Defenders because we see Galactus's mom also.
Is that who that is?
That is his mom. Well, his mom from it's weird. Like I said, it's a whole weird thing, but from the universe before, I think it was the case.
Oh, okay.
Something like that. But
yeah, because I was very confused. I was like, who is this?
Yes, but that is Galactus's mom. And yeah,
okay.
and that she came in the last couple of Defenders miniseries, which again Al Ewing wrote.
Right.
So, and those things kind of went a couple of places. So, and also as Agent 7 and I was talking before the show, and I don't know if who wants to drop the little tidbit about Blue Marvel that kind of struck both of us.
Oh, there's a little bit of inner monologue that Storm has, and it's an observation about Adam Brashear, Dr. Adam Brashear, in relation to his relationship with another Marvel heroine or hero, and another past relationship of Storm's, and how she could see parallels and obvious connections that were still there. But I definitely, I got a kick out of seeing Blue Marvel in these pages. I also have a quick question before we move on.
Mm-hmm.
The name of Blue Marvel's base, is that Kadesh base or Kadesh base? It sounds very Klingon, doesn't it?
I believe.
Kadesh.
Yeah, I thought about that too. Kadesh, I believe is
okay.
the pronunciation. I believe. I don't think I've ever heard it out loud, but I believe.
Right. Because when I was reading, I was like, Kalis? I'm like, is that like a shout to the Klingons here, Al Ewing?
I mean, it could be. We don't even know, but no, I don't recall
Well,
anything.
because it sounds like something that's like very Klingon, like Kadesh or Kalis. You know, I've
I can
heard
see that.
Worf do that Klingon jibber jabber a million times.
No, I can see
You
it.
know?
I can see it. Yeah. But it's probably something probably
General
more
Martok
Egyptian.
probably said it or something silly like that, you know?
Yeah, no, it's probably
Like I am
Egyptian,
far from being the Trek person on this podcast. That would be PCN_dirt and of course Roddykat. So
yeah, we've had our moments, but no, I believe I'm. This is my speculation because I know he's got a couple of bases here and there, and so it could be Egyptian for all we know.
Sure.
Which I guess makes some kind of sense considering what happens during the course of this, but. Yeah, that being said, that whole what Idris have just said was like, yeah, that was kind of funny. It was like, yeah, game recognized game in one way.
Right.
So
yeah, I had one additional thought before I hand it back to you. The art on this was great. Luciano Vecchio was killing it.
Yeah, as usual. That is the case, but yeah, look, Al Ewing's kind of digging into his bag with some of this stuff, with that part at the very least. So it was like it was good to see, and then going into Storm's journey, which spoiler alerts take us. So I'm just going to say this part because, and I'm going off memory here, but I don't think Storm has, and I'm not saying she did here, but technically, kind of, sort of. Storm has not died during the course of the Krakoan era at all, ever. So outside of Sins of Sinister, which technically that was old age and another universe or another dimension universe / thing, whatever. Timeline, basically. There's another timeline. She has not. So all I'm saying is if she dies, I'm gonna be pissed either way. But this journey kind of takes us on a Moon Knight / journey, and it also pretty much in lieu of Magneto, who forego the resurrection protocols and said no more, don't back up his copy anymore. People were wondering how he's going to come back if he ever was, but we knew he was going to come back at some point, and here we are going on that journey right now.
Right. And Storm did the same thing where she destroyed her backups. So,
yes,
she would be in the same boat as Magneto, but, we'll see how the story plays out, but I'm definitely on board. I really like where this is going. Now it's funny that Roddykat mentioned this, that Al Ewing's in his bag because he's not only tying in the X-Men Red stuff that they created, like with Tarn and all these other Iraqis, but also his new Defenders run, and I'm like, wow, Al Ewing really digging deep and just like using his corner, using the toys that he has touched always.
And he does that more often than not, or it has more often than not in the last few years. So it's kind of funny if you've read some of the other stuff. It's like, oh right, that's where this stuff comes from. So. Which was like I said, it was kind of funny just to see the Defenders and Blue Marvel and whatnot coming into this. I'm like, I was not expecting that, but here we are.
He even pulled in, even on his Immortal Thor run recently, he pulled Storm in.
Yes, this is true.
He pulled Storm in, and that's a character that he's obviously very tied to through X-Men Red. Right.
Oh, and also during part of this, which again is also going back to his Defenders run, we see a glimpse of I believe they were also from his Ultimates run, actually. So we see the Beyonder and the Beyonders, or some of the Beyonders, which he ties into this.
Thank you for mentioning that. I saw that. I was like, is that the Beyonder with the green armor? Oh my god.
Well, not the green armor, but it was him in his white armor, but there was another.
Oh, it's the white armor. Yeah. Right. I couldn't remember. I remember the what's funny is that the art was good enough to evoke that memory. So it's white armor, but it's green hued because of the lighting and the coloring.
I believe so, or that's another, because I believe that if I'm not mistaken, that one has an Omega symbol on them.
Yes.
And I think that is either one of the other Beyonders. I can't remember. That whole thing was weird in itself, and that's might be from Ultimates
Okay.
and
Okay.
or Defenders, because like the Beyonders kind of played a part of the Ultimates also.
Understood.
And Beyonder did come back in the one of the last Defenders runs for something, but it was just the Beyonder. So
Got it.
but basically it's still all
Al
Al
Ewing.
Ewing.
That's all
Yes.
Al Ewing. All the toys that he touches, he just brings back.
Exactly. So it's again, like I said, it's kind of fun seeing all of that. And I'm kind of curious as to if there's going to be any more that's going to happen during the course of this miniseries, or if that's just it.
Sure.
Yeah, that's all they need to do.
Oh, we're gonna see the green. Oh, we're gonna see the green door at some point.
I mean, that's potentially
It's a
possible.
possibility
It's
because
very
they're
possible.
talking about resurrection.
Yeah. But that's gamma-based resurrection. I mean, I'm not saying you're not wrong,
Yes.
because it still could happen. But yeah,
Exactly. You never know.
so yeah, there would be some weird way that they tie that in. It's like, oh no, this is this, and this is like adjacent to the mutants.
Exactly.
So yeah,
Exactly.
But
It is a form of
regardless-
mutation after all. The Hulk
Exactly.
transformation.
right. So
Oh my God! Imagine if we just cracked Al Ewing's story just now.
Like I said, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me one bit if that happens. So.
God.
But that
anyway,
but that being because, like I said, as you can tell, we've been enjoying this first issue of this, and seeing where this ends up going is going to be of some interest. I think I said it before the show, was like, it's while Hickman has his own mumbo jumbo, Al Ewing definitely has his own mumbo
he's
jumbo.
developing, right? He's developing it in certain runs. Certain runs
Mhm.
has it.
Right.
Possesses. Certain runs have elements of Ewing mumbo jumbo. And
Right.
before we move on, again, I want to mention this is a candidate for Click of the Week for myself.
Same.
All righty.
And with that, I think the last book we said we were going to, even though I think we do have one more in common, but the last one we said we are going to do in this section is Mech Cadets, number 5 of 6, I believe it is.
Yes, 5 of 6.
Yeah.
So this is the penultimate issue of this volume of Mech Cadets, because there is definitely, I think, some at least in this penultimate issue, some momentum towards continuing the story, because it does not seem like this is going to end neatly in one issue.
Mhm.
So this issue is written by Greg Pak, with art by Tak Miyazawa, colors by Ian Herring, and letters by Simon Boland. And just getting back to what I was saying, is that in this penultimate issue, we have a rescue mission gone awry. We have the reunification of some characters with some other characters who went on a rogue rescue mission. On that rogue rescue mission, we have characters who are meant to stay behind and defend the Earth against the Sharg, and alien on alien violence that some humans may want to let happen.
Right. Some space racism happening.
Right. So this is all very much a lot to take care of in one issue. I say all that to get to that particular point. I'll let Roddykat take it from there. Is that it feels like there is momentum in this story for another series that Greg Pak and Tak Miyazawa still have to tell.
Yeah, and I can totally see that, because I mean, as with other Greg Pak books, this is kind of happened. It's like, yeah, here's one arc or one story, but it's kind of leads into some more stuff. I kind of wish King's Way West would have continued, but that's a whole nother story. And I am very glad that Agent 70 has caught up with this, because if it wasn't for him actually reading the first volume, Mech Cadet U wouldn't have known about this. And of course, some people, which I still hadn't watched the whole thing of, seen the Netflix show, that is out there now, which I'm not sure is getting another season or not, but it's out there. Regardless, it's been good stuff, and as Agent 7 said, yeah, I can kind of see that as well, unless they do like hey, this is going to double up this last issue, because yeah, we might stay in this world, but we'll kind of go somewhere else with it.
Right.
But I doubt it. But I think Age of 7, you're probably right about that. And it's like, yeah, it's just going to end, and then there's going to be another volume. Maybe centering around one of the other characters, or maybe just continue with the Mech Cadets as it is, and they keep going with the work, because it has gone far from even Mech Cadet U was like, it wasn't really about the character of Stanford U.
Right.
So it very well is just kind of like, no, it's about all of them, and just kind of keep the thing going, which I wouldn't mind, because like I said, it's been a pretty good story so far. So yeah, like I said, wouldn't be surprised if that is the case. Yeah, that's really all needs to be said about that one.
Yeah,
Honestly.
because it's a nice setup for probably a big. I hit most of the major points without really spoiling anything. I think the execution of this book is top notch between the team of Greg Pak and Taki Miyazawa and Ian Herring. We all know his colors because he's been on that youthful book train for a long time.
Well, he and Taki Miyazawa did Miss Marvel's book.
Exactly. Well, you took the words right out of my mouth, because that's where I was going, because that's where we know his colors from.
Right. So yeah, and and we've been because of that same thing, we've been fans of Taki Miyazawa's art from
Exactly.
Marvel, so.
Miss Marvel, from Spider-Gwen, and remember, I got a commission from him at New York Comic Con this past fall.
This is true. So everything is in place. Everything worked out as I wonder if that was intentional, or because I looking back on it, it seems to make sense, but we don't know if that was like, if that was something that they had intended to do.
Right.
So regardless, it works out for all of us, and it's a good book. So you should definitely check it out if you are a fan of well, hey, young kids in mechs, even though it is a way bigger story than just that, though. In fact, that's just
alien invasions, all this stuff. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It's kind of an anime vibe to it, definitely. I feel like one of us has said that during the course of either this or Mech Cadet U. So
yep.
That being said, though, we're going to go into rapid fire.
All right, we're spinning up the minigun for rapid fire reviews.
I ain't got time to breathe.
All righty, first up for me is Titans Beast World number 5 of 6. This is the penultimate issue of this miniseries for this event. It's written by Tom Taylor with pencils by Ivan Rice and Eduardo Pansica. Inks are by Danny Mickey and Julio Ferreira. Colors are by Brad Anderson and letters by Wes Abbott. Ultimately, I think the payoff in this, and I've said this from the beginning of my reviews of this series, is that DC is definitely planting seeds for Amanda Waller to become front and center as opposed to being in the shadows, and that is quite literally what happens in this issue. Another thing that happens in this issue is kind of the reveal of what her ultimate goals are. One of the highlights in the story told in this issue is a hand-to-hand fight between Peacemaker and Nightwing, and it goes exactly how you think it goes. Exactly how you think it goes. You can even hear John Cena saying some of these lines, right? Bottom line, though, is that the cliffhanger ending of this issue is pretty fun. I'm not that familiar with what they have done with the characters in the Teen Titans or the former New Teen Titans recently. They are now just the Titans. Right. I understand that they have given Raven the name Rachel because that's what the character's name is on the TV show. And it's still a little confusing to me, but I really liked where this issue ended in the cliffhanger and how that relates to Raven's character and what has happened to her over the course of this miniseries, of this event. So I definitely enjoy this issue and I like what they're doing with the Titans. I don't necessarily like the idea of undercutting them in the sense that I think I've said this before, you can start to see the setup for the recreation of the Justice League, because of the Titans not coming through in a pinch.
Right, and real quick before you go to the next one, I know Green Arrow #8, I believe, came out this week, and
Okay.
a reason why I'm bringing it up is because Amanda Waller is also in that book, and she's kind of doing some things with over there that may or may not be playing into this whole thing as well, as you said, kind of making herself into a bigger thing in this new year, which she's always been somewhere in shadows.
Right, and exactly. And what I was going to say is they're definitely trying to play up her visibility. They're trying to capitalize on her visibility from the TV and movies.
Right.
So, okay. Next up is Gods, GODS #4. It's written by Jonathan Hickman with art by Valerio Schiti, colors by Marte Gracia, and letters by VC's Travis Lanham. This is the last book that Roddykat and I have in common this week, and I'll give him an opportunity to chime in. I will say that one of the things I really enjoyed, I enjoyed about this issue and that I enjoy about this series so far is that it is the return of the Hickman mumbo jumbo, but it's magic mumbo jumbo and filling in sections of the Marvel Universe's magic quadrant or magic side that I did not know needed to be filled in, and I kind of enjoy it. It also brings in some of the cosmic characters that we kind of know are pseudo magical, or at least pseudo they're concepts, as it were, and that's kind of what Hickman uses as a starting point for some of these like universal type characters. And this is still, believe it or not, set up 4 issues in. There's a lot of setup going on here. It doesn't help if you have missed the first 3 issues to pick up this issue. I definitely would recommend reading all 4 issues together. If this is your first one, track down 1, 2, and 3, because that's pretty much how you're going to be able to make sense of what's going on. Anything else?
And in certain sense, even the backup stories, which I think they have all collected by now, the backup stories from a couple of months ago where they introduce a lot of these characters, you may get something out of that because because they don't really go into who is what in this story. They just think that, oh, like, you've already been there. Like, they give you a little bit of hits in there because there's a couple of characters to kind of focus on, but for the most part, you kind of left your own devices about that stuff. And yeah, more Hickman mumbo jumbo. If you definitely need a world kind of built and expounded on and set up, you're kind of going to Hickman at this point, as we have seen from his past work and current. Well, as his past work, I was about to say, and his stuff going into the Krakoan era. Also, if you've been up on that stuff and our favorite stuff, the whole leading up to Secret Wars back in 2014, 15, or whatever it was. There was something else I was gonna say about this one, but I can't remember what it was outside of there was a Seven moment. A moment from the movie Seven that I'm surprised Agent 70 may or may not have picked up on, having to do with a cube that Doctor Strange and Wynn runs into. They don't outright say it, but
to the box!
Exactly. So
oh, now that makes me want to. That is a strangely rewatchable movie for me.
Kind of is, yeah. It's
strangely. I mean, listen, I remember exactly when I watched it, and it's one of those things where you kind of winced at some of the gore and some of the scenes, but it's been a strangely rewatchable movie for me. I don't know if I think I own it on DVD, not on Blu-ray, but DVD.
I think I might also have that same thing. It might be on. It might be because I know I have it, but I don't know if I have it on.
Right.
Anyway,
So you're talking to a collector of some things, and it's kind of odd that I don't have a list, even if it's just a spreadsheet, because it's not like I'm gonna buy an app, not like the collector's app for my movies.
I did do that.
Oh, you bought the collector's app?
Mm-hmm.
Because I have that for the comics. I wonder if I get like a discount for the movies too.
I want to say
I don't own that many movies.
Right, that's a bit depending on when you catch them. Because I think I don't know if they're doing it anymore because it's been a while since I've done that. But
Yeah, and their prices have gone up. No
Right.
shots at them though.
yeah,
I
yeah,
understand things cost
But-
money.
Right. But
All right.
anyway,
Next up, sorry for the detour there, folks. Next up is Power Pack Into the Storm #1 of 5. Power Pack. Shout out to @MattWang97. This issue is written by Louise Simonson with art by June Brigman, inks by Roy Richardson, colors by Nolan Woodard, and letters by VC's Travis Lanham. So as I just said, this is issue #1 of 5, and you would not be able to tell based on how much dialogue there is that this is the first issue of 5. You would think this would be the first issue of 2. There's so much to digest reading this, and it's and it's something that Roddykat and I had a quick discussion about, because I said it's so jam-packed with dialogue and with setup that it is definitely new reader friendly, but at the same time maybe not like newish reader friendly, and I'm going to try to differentiate the two. New reader in the sense that if you're new to Power Pack, it's friendly. If you're a reader that's new to reading comics, you may be a little overwhelmed because there's a lot to digest and read, where a lot of today's comics, unless you decide to pick up Immortal Thor or Gods, you may, I think if you're picking up those books, you can pick up Power Pack. If you're picking up things like, things with lots of big splash pages, it's another story.
or G.I. Joe, I would put in G.I. Joe Real American Hero, because Larry Hama still writes like he did back when he started writing that book.
Right. So, there's a certain way of telling stories that is here in this book. And, I think I will tell you that I had a lot of fun seeing these characters interact with each other, and the Fantastic Four who made guest appearance in this issue, because little Franklin, way back when, was a member of Power Pack.
Yep.
Alrighty, last but not least for me is X-Force #48. It's written by Benjamin Percy with art by Robert Gill, colors by Guru EFX, and letters by our favorite lettering paisan, who's apparently not very busy lettering the books that I read this week, VC's Joe Caramagna. So, there are weeks when Joe Caramagna has lettered every book that we talk about. This week, just one for me. The one thing I will say about this issue, and we know that X-Force is going to have to deal with the Beast and the current crazy, heel turn Beast. Again, more wrestling terminology. So what do? Well, let's just say they send in the clowns. Oh gosh, I just spoiled it. But yeah, folks, when I saw that, I was like, oh, seriously? But I understood. And it's still told in a very solid story. That's the way Benjamin Percy does it. I'm just not so keen on the trope that they're using here, the story mechanism that he's employing. But I still want to see current Hank McCoy get his comeuppance. So I'm on board to see that, and that's it for me.
If they're not going to take him back to big bubbly blue Beast, or at the very least X Factor level, then just kill him off and let it go. Because I hate asshole Beast. I really hate. I've hated it. And this story has been going on for like a good actual year and a half, almost 2 years.
More. Because
I mean, with this current, not like, the asshole Beast has been around for like way longer than that.
So Jerkface Beast has been around for a long time. Like they've been moving him in this direction since they brought back the young X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because you see him you see the original Beast oh, this is what happens to me, right? It's been that long. That transformation has been that character assassination, you could even call it, has been going on for that long. and it really went into turbo mode. Oh wait, what was it in Knight Rider?
Turbo Boost.
What's that?
It was
No,
turbo mode. Yeah.
No, it was turbo boost, and there was hyperspeed mode, wasn't it?
I guess I don't remember. I know what you're talking about when the wings came out and I know what you're talking about, but I don't remember if there was more than turbo or it might you might be right.
It's a turbo boost, right? That was more than turbo boost. I think they called it hyperspeed mode. I'm gonna check the Googles, but ultimately, they put the heel turn Beast. They put Beast, the heel version of Beast, on hyperspeed mode, since the Krakoa era started.
Yeah.
So they've really pushed that that aspect, and whether or not they reset the character in like the obvious way now that they've given them an out, they've given they've provided a means of resetting the character here that's very clear and obvious, and I never think that Percy's ever going to go the clear and obvious route, but you never know. So we'll see where that goes. But like I said, I'm on board to see the comeuppance. So that's it for me.
All righty. Yeah. Let's just hope something good comes out of that, because boy, I hate it. I hate it.
Same.
All right. For myself, we go into a little bit of IDW, folks.
Right. Just very quickly,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I wanted to mention and remind everyone that Mech Cadets, as Mech Cadet U before it, is published by Boom Studios.
Correct. That's true.
Sorry for the interruption.
No, you good.
I think you reminded me because you started talking about IDW. So I wanted to mention that that is the publisher of Mech Cadets.
Which reminds me that speaking of that's Image though, that Ghost Machine One-Shot, I meant to read that, but I didn't get a chance to. But as I find out where the hell I put the doggone thing, there we go. Here we go. Dungeons and Dragons Saturday Morning Adventures 2, number 1 of I think it's 4, actually, I'm not sure. I forgot to look that up. But regardless, here we go once again with the kids, or actually, well, they're not kids in this particular issue, start of this issue, of if you know of the Dungeons and Dragons animated series from back in the 80s, then congratulations, you're old like us, and probably have some fond memories of it. So the Saturday Morning Adventures banner has kind of been a thing. And I said when the last one ended, I hope they do more of this stuff. And here they are, because they did a one-shot probably like a month or two ago. And this particular story takes place after that. Actually takes place some years after that. So actually the kids are a little older, but they're still trapped in the Forgotten Realms. And they're on a quest because that dungeon manager technically did give them, but did by the way of the fact that he's come down with something and they need to go track down some stuff to get them better. They run into at the very least one Dungeons and Dragons notable, I would say. And they apparently have been there long enough to know this character, and they call him like, oh yeah, you're this character. Da, 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 da. I'm not gonna say who it is, but and when they're on this quest, but that was only kind of a cameo appearance before they kind of push on to the quest at hand. But of course, if you know anything about the animated series, they have an adversary that always kind of shows their face at some point in time, and this is no different, because at the end of this issue, that person also kind of shows up after the youngest of the crew kind of has a hissy fits and walks off or storms off, whatever the case may be. But there's also pirates involved in this, so there you go. Dungeons and Dragons and pirates, oh my. Next up, Darkwing Duck. From the world of Darkwing Duck, excuse me. It's not Darkwing Duck, but it is of the world in that it is. Oh right, it's not called that. It is called Justice Ducks number 1. There we go. I forgot to give the credits for the last book, but I'll come right around to it. But Darkwing Duck, Justice Ducks #1 is written by Roger Langridge with art by Carlo Laro, who is the artist on Darkwing Duck, and letters by Jeff Kuberry, who has pretty much been the letters on that whole thing. So yeah, from the world of Darkwing Duck comes basically the Justice League of Ducks. If the name didn't give you that already. They had kind of been setting this up in the pages of Darkwing Duck already. But this kind of, in the way of Justice League, kind of does a thing where it's like, hey, all of these characters kind of come together because of some things happen. But of course, Darkwing, being the Batman of the crew, is like, no, I'm not a part of this. I'm doing my own thing. But if you need me, I'll be there. Type situation at the end of this. But the adventure they all end up going on within this first issue is kind of a strange one for this world, and has to do with a frozen confectionery treat that most people love, whether they can eat it or not, and aliens. So yeah, but it's a good fun read for folks of who know of Darkwing Duck and probably know enough about the show to know of all of these characters. Next up is, actually, let me go back to the Dungeons & Dragons thing. So Dungeons & Dragons Saturday Morning Avengers 2 #1 is written by David M. Boer, art by George Kambadius. Excuse me. Letters by Ed Dukeshire and colors by John Paul Bove. Or Bove? Bove? I'm not sure. I'm going to assume it's Bove, but I'm not sure. There's no accent anywhere.
Yeah, it could be Beauvais. I've always heard that pronounced as Beauvais.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of wondering. So, but my next book is Star Trek Defiant Annual number. Star Trek Defiant Annual number 2024. There's no number on that except for, on the thing, because they do their annuals right by numbering them and not just do number ones. Anyway, written by Christopher Cantwell, art by Ramon Rosanas, and colors by Lee Luffridge, and letters by Clayton Cowles. So this particular annual takes place after the Day of Blood. Has to do with the character of Sela, which if you have kept up with, most specifically the Star Trek the Next Generation part of Star Trek, you know that Sela is basically the daughter of Tasha Yar, who met her demise at the end of season 1. But timey-wimey things happened, and this character came in as a Romulan, because of timey-wimey things going on with that. And I totally had to, actually I almost went back and watched a couple of episodes, because it was like, wait, I remember this happening. I remember, because at the beginning of the book, they kind of say, hey, this is who she is, this is her, and I remember some of that. But also, I was like, wait, some of the stuff I don't remember, because there was a couple of episodes of, I've seen all the episodes where she shows up, but at the same time, it's like, I don't remember where they said this and that and the other about that. Regardless, as per a Star Trek book that is dealing with a character that is basically was born out of some time travel shenanigans, they end up doing some time travel shenanigans. As per the thing, and she ends up coming into contact with her mother, and they have a thing going on, because she thinks of her mother in a certain way, and that has been kind of clear. And because of the fact that her makeup was a Starfleet officer and this Romulan warden who that things happened when she got imprisoned, but also timey-wimey stuff, she got to had a hard life or whatever the case may be. But she's also Romulan through and through, as if people know the character. So this annual is pretty much a story that kind of like puts them together. She kind of sees her mother in I assume she sees her mother in a different light after this, but actually, but we don't know. And it seems like it's leading back into Star Trek Defiant properly, because she has definitely shown up there after the whole Day of Blood stuff. And so it's because there is some stuff that came out of that is kind of still circulating here, to where she has been Matter of fact, I believe the last part of this book puts her on the course to where she has been in Star Trek Defiant book, and can't, if I remember correctly, she's not in that. She kind of left off on that part of the story for right now, but she's probably going to be back, or I think she may still be with the crew. I can't remember crew. So it's some stuff going on. Regardless, it's an interesting read for what it is, because I wasn't sure what they were going to do for an annual. And I will say that again, because of time travel and because of who she meets up with, there is unsurprisingly another Next Generation staple that shows up as a cameo in this for a reason that you can read for yourself if you care so much about. Next up, Spider-Woman #3. I know Agent 70.
No, feel free to spoil it because I did read it just now. I literally read it just now.
Okay, and I saw you going through my notes, so I was wondering something.
I literally, because I saw your notes and I was like, oh, let me read this real quick, and I was like, oh, so keep going, go.
Yeah. So basically, gang war tie-in. Jessica Drew's kind of trying to fight Diamondback, who's one of the Diamondbacks, because there's a couple of them floating around. Regardless, who's taking over the financial district during gang war, but also
right. This is the Luke Cage Diamondback. We can always just put it that way.
Thank you very much. Who's taking over the financial district, but also in bed with Hydra. And as if you know anything about Jessica Drew's Spider-Woman, her and Hydra has a history. And a none too great history at that. So obviously she has a couple of different reasons to not like either one of those parties mentioned, but also she is looking for her son, whom after the events of Edge of Spider-Verse was either taken or some people forgot about, but luckily this story kind of makes Jess not crazy, because some information comes up about that, because Madam Web coincidentally shows up into this. Not so
right, but she's got a movie coming out.
That's what I was about to say, exactly. So, but also, hey, the web spinners all kind of group up every now and then. So it's not just that, but it's definitely because of that. Right. So like I said, Jess against Diamondback and Hydra trying to find her son, and as I think I had called it, like probably last issue or the issue before that, she finds out where her son is.
Right. And I hate to say this,
mm-hmm.
You were right, but they hid it until this issue. They telegraphed it in this issue.
They definitely did. Oh, totally.
They telegraphed it, in some of the commentary early on in the, like some of the dialogue, some of the inner monologuing in the issue. They definitely telegraphed it. So when I read it, I was like, oh, he was right.
But I felt like they kind of telegraphed it when this character kind of showed up also, but it wasn't as heavy as this. Definitely.
Right. Because I think what it is that in this issue, I think maybe it's because I only speed read the previous issue where they describe this Green Mamba's abilities. Mm-hmm. In this issue, when they describe it, it's like, oh,
mm-hmm.
yeah,
it's quite clear.
Probably right. Yeah,
it is quite clear. I'm like, and sure enough, at the end, like I said, the reveal is there. So I was like, all right, it's
right. So what do you think about this particular development now that your suspicion, however fanciful I thought it was, is actually confirmed?
I don't know what to think about it, because this is not the first time we have seen a thing like this happen. This is the kind of thing that happens more so in the likes of soap operas, Star Trek. Well, not soap operas, because that's a different case, but like Star Trek or some other media that's more sci-fi focused. But also it does happen in comics, so I'm not sitting here saying that it doesn't. So that being said,
it just isn't. What I was going to say is, well, no, you make your point. I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. All I was going to say was just that, this thing's kind of happened. It's how they're going to resolve the issue. It's going to be the thing or not. Like, okay, they're probably not going to put it back in the box, and they're just going to go back from there, because clearly, like I said, given the events of Edge of Spider-Verse, things kind of got chopped. So you're either going to have to deal with it, or it's going to get to the point where it's like, well, she's not going to have this anymore. That's not going to be a thing anymore. And I feel like that's kind of might be where they're going with this, but I could be wrong. And she's just going to have to deal with it as it is, but it's just going to be a road to get to that point.
Right. So the point I was going to make when I so rudely interrupted Roddykat's train of thought was that it seems like this type of story is almost out of place in the pages of Spider-Woman. And one of the reasons why I stopped myself is that the previous run by Carla Pacheco had a lot of sci-fi stuff in it too. Like that seemed to me slightly out of place in the pages of Spider-Woman, but I guess the character kind of spans the sci-fi, like kind of fanciful, the more like kind of wacky aspects of the Marvel universe. You know, she does have spider-like powers, but then she doesn't. You know, they're not. She's not exactly like a female version of Spider-Man, and I've always read Jessica Drew as being, you know, where especially during the Bendis era, they really focused on her super spy abilities and her combat abilities, not so much any of the other, I guess, superhero style things that she could do. It seems like these more recent Spider-Woman runs are going more into that stuff, into the powers and the more supernatural, not supernatural, but like kind of more, you know, like less super spy stuff. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
Less super spy stuff.
Yes. Yeah, because even when the character came into play, like even back during the 70s, like she was a private investigator at one point. Like, yeah, she had the whole history where she's also had a complicated history, much like Carol Danvers.
Right.
They've kind of done things with. It's not as bad as Carol's to a certain degree, but still, there's.
It's just, I would say it's just as bad, to be honest. Because it's just as convoluted.
Yes, I'll say that.
It's just as convoluted, maybe not just as bad, because we all know what Roddykat is referring to from a particular Avenger story.
Right. So that in that case, yeah, you hit it right on with with the convoluted part. So
right.
she was a private investigator a lot, and they kind of went away from that, and then there was a whole Hydra thing, and that's kind of been, I guess you said, kind of, especially during the Bendis thing, kind of came up to the front and all this stuff. So yeah, they're trying to balance it out, but not to the point to where it's outside of her complicated history's boundaries. Put it that way.
Right.
But yeah,
like I'm almost afraid to pull out my my super crisp Ohatmu omnibus, the deluxe edition, and look at the Spider-Woman entry and see how much has been added to that since.
I'll see the flex, right? It's just like he's like, like, gotcha. Like, But anyway, there was so we talk about characters of a certain vintage that talk a kind of a way that seems youngish. I think Thor kind of had a little bit, or newish. I guess, and Thor had a little bit of this.
Updating the lexicon, updating the lingo that they use.
Right. Yeah. Jessica Drew, which say she's British, it doesn't really it's irrelevant, and they don't really play into that all that much. But she says something in this book, and I'll move on from there. I quote, "You want legal advice? Get your ish rocked by She-Hulk next time." Now that is a term. Getting your stuff rocked is a newish term. Like, yes, there's been things similar to that, and you know, it's not a big point. There's been worse offenders of this, but I saw when I read that was funny to me. I'm like, is that outside of the realm of what Jessica would say? A little bit, but at the same time, you know,
it's that rubber band timeline,
right?
That rubber band timeline, you know, because some characters would say groovy at one point. Now they say something else. Right. At one point they said fly, and then another point they're going to say something else.
Right. So, the younger spider folks in the in the universe are getting a correct treatment, I guess, but it's also sometimes bleeding over into some other stuff. But regardless, that's Spider-Woman number 3, still getting war stuff, like I said, at the end of it. And I believe that is it for me. Kliqs of the week.
Kliqs of the week.
We're since we brought it up earlier in the show, and brought him up earlier in the show, shout out to one Matt Wayne 97, who we're just going to go ahead and give him this Kliq of the week, even though he is not here to do it for himself. Power Pack Into the Storm number 1 of what, 5?
Yes, a 105.
Because I feel like almost every time he has been on the show, he has mentioned either Power Pack or Stingray or probably both.
Or the New Warriors.
Or the New Warriors, exactly. So we know he's a fan. I wish I should have reached out on him and asked if he's had the time to read it, because he's a busy dude. But see if he read it yet. But I hadn't read it yet either, so I was like,
I hope he picks it up. I hope he picks it up. I hope he picks up a physical copy, or worst case scenario, gets the digital.
Right.
But this is right up his alley, especially with Wheezy Simonson writing it too. So
right. And actually, going back to that point, yeah, like I said, like Agent 70 said, it's like there's this whole the kind of the old school way of writing that just definitely seems to have I only flipped through like a page or two, so I don't, I hadn't really gone through the whole.
You could just see from the density of the word balloons.
It's like, oh yeah, that is totally her in that back in that era.
Yep,
writing that. So, you have yours?
Oh, I have my 2 candidates. Yes. I have my 2 candidates. I have to really buckle down and figure out which I am going to choose. Mm-hmm. Those would be Immortal Thor number 6 and Ressurection of Magneto number 1.
Mm-hmm. So you're not going to put ROM Original Marvel Omnibus into that mix?
I want to give a shout out to Chris Ryall, the writer of the IDW book. Mm-hmm. The relaunch or the reboot of ROM. He actually writes a foreword in the trade, and he mentions that he has a great love of the character. He does a quick history lesson on it, but he mentions that he put together this relaunch, and one thing that was missing was the intrinsically Marvel parts of the ROM story that he obviously could not use because he was at a different publisher.
Right.
And it's it's kind of fun to hear and see, to see that to hear that basically the writer talk about that. Say, hey, you know what? I wish I could have done it. I know I couldn't really comment on it, but I can write it here because I'm in the pages of a Marvel book. And say, I wish I had been able to do, because of licensing. But now here we are with a reprint of the issues 1 through 29, plus I believe it's a Power Man and Iron Fist issue that's in this particular omnibus trade paperback, which is great. I you know what? Like I was on the fence about going to the store and just picking it up, just on a whim, just going. I might still. It depends. Like. I kind of have my heart set on filling out my ROM run, but if I just get a bookshelf versions, that might have to suffice.
Right. The funny part about it is, with the way they're setting up the Energon universe over at Skybound Image,
right?
ROM could possibly fit. Like they've pretty much thrown other things at the wall in this thing, but they've been keeping it pretty. Transformers over here, and they're setting up Jadger now, but ROM could possibly fit up a little bit better than when they did that whole Hasbro shared universe thing a few years back, of which I read. Right. That was a whole mess. Some good things in it, but that was a whole mess that probably thankfully didn't go anywhere.
Right. And you wonder if maybe because of that whole mess happening, maybe Hasbro would play in the Marvel sandbox a little bit with just this one character,
right?
And just license it out. I don't know if they have plans for the toy. Imagine if they do a relaunch and try to tie it in and start trying to tie it back into the Marvel universe. I don't know if that's in their long-term goal.
Or Mask. I mean, the Mask was also a part of that, even, which that was probably one of the losses in that whole thing, because that seemed like it could have been cool, but
Right.
but yeah, I don't know. It's very well. It seems like, because we've been talking about this for the past few weeks. It seems like with all the variant covers and whatnot, and ROM is kind of up in the air. It seems like it could possibly be Bucking to come back.
Yeah, like they're priming the pump for something.
Right. So, but we don't know that for certain. So I'm sure Agent 70 will be very happy if they end up doing that.
Absolutely, yo. I will be first in line to get that Marvel Legends. I'll be first in line. Because it's look, those are Hasbro toys.
Mm-hmm.
Those are Hasbro toys. All they have to do is license the Marvel stuff.
Which is basically the other Space Knights, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, exactly. Just the Marvel characters. Imagine we actually get a blue torpedo. Or torpedo,
Right.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, all right. Do you have your candidates? Your choices?
My candidates would be Resurrection of Magneto, Dungeons and Dragons, Saturn One and Adventures, and Immortal Thor might be in there actually.
That's nice. I'm glad to convert. I'm glad to convert.
I mean, it's Al Ewing. It wasn't that hard of a twisting of an arm.
Yeah.
So. And the Star Trek Defiance story was good, but it was like, yeah, that is what it is. But yeah, those are pretty much my picks. That are front and center anyway.
Right. So I'm gonna go with. Oh my goodness, I really liked Immortal Thor and Resurrection of Magneto, and I really enjoyed the cliffhanger page of Resurrection of Magneto. Because I had to look carefully at the art, because I thought that, let's just say that the character who's depicted on the cliffhanger page was in the bowels of a submarine, and if you know the character, a certain character's history, you might know why.
Right. Actually, I thought about that harking back to Wolverine in the tunnels of the subway. In the sewers.
The Morlock tunnels.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
That's where I went with that.
Oh, you mean well, but the sewers, but that was from the Hellfire Club, right? That, like, he was thrown into the Hellfire. That was from Dark Phoenix. Okay.
Right.
But I definitely thought, like, I had to look carefully. I was like, oh, is he? Is that the insides, the innards of a submarine? So anyway, I think I'm gonna bite the bullet and just go with Immortal Thor #6. That was my initial thought. I think the one thing that kept me from picking Resurrection of Magneto is normal guy at the beginning of the book. Everything else was a bunch of mumbo jumbo, which is great, but normal guy at the beginning of the book kind of threw me off. So I'm gonna go with Immortal Thor #6 for all the reasons we talked about at the beginning of the show.
And for myself, like I said, I am still a sucker for like the 80s Dungeons and Dragons stuff. So seeing them again, even though slightly older in this particular adventure, but still going at it, is kind of a thing. But I think I actually am going to go with Resurrection of Magneto #1, because of all of the reasons that we talked about, including Ewing mumbo jumbo, and him digging into the bag once again, as he tends to do.
Right.
So
I'm just glad that you pointed out some of those. They're more than Easter eggs, right? But they are kind of the toys that Al Ewing has played with in his portions, like where he's played in the Marvel Universe sandbox. So I appreciate that, because, as I said, I was like, well, I recognize Adam Brashear, but who's this he's talking to? I have the power of Google at my fingertips. I just chose not to use it.
That's okay.
You know, so I appreciate you letting me in on that. You know, one of the things that we do before we record is try to get in as many books as we can. And because of, you know, my own schedule this week, we're recording on a Friday. So, you know, and because of that, sometimes, you know, it actually sometimes works out better because we have more time to read. So we're able to get more books in. So, but yeah, sometimes we're trying to squeeze in as much as we can, and we don't always have a chance to sit, even with that extra time, to Google, like, who is this character?
Right.
Why does this matter? So, all right, that's it for our reviews.
Yep. Let's get into an ad read, shall we?
Our first ad read of the night is for Blue Apron's meal delivery service. Blue Apron gives you fresh ingredients and incredible recipes delivered weekly to your door. Skip the grocery store and make incredible meals at home with Blue Apron, always shipped free right to your home. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can get $30 off your first Blue Apron order. To place your first order with $30 off and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us. That's cspn.us. Then click on the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down to the Blue Apron link and sign up for your first order. Blue Apron through cspn.us. Do it today. And now we get into the news.
Cinematic news, folks. We start off with, hey, guess what, folks? You know that Barbie movie that's done a lot of stuff and may or may not have some. Well, there was a slight. I'm not gonna say controversy is the word for it, but there was some hubbub over who got nominated for awards or not. You know, that kind of thing is happening. Regardless, Sharon Stone pitched a Barbie movie back in the 90s and, quote, got laughed out of the studio. And she thanks, according to this article, thanks Margot Robbie and company for their courage and endurance, quote unquote, according to this. So yeah, that's the thing that happened. Yeah, there's not much else to say about that. Like I said, it does go through who got nominated for some stuff, but I think this article came out before the Oscar noms. So. Next up.
Okay, so this is an interesting story that I have not read anything about. Apparently, one of the most anticipated documentary premieres at 2024 Sundance is Super/Man, the Christopher Reeve story, which tracks the eponymous star's rise to Hollywood icon and the near-fatal horse riding accident in 1995 that left him paralyzed from the neck down. Apparently, just very quickly, his children, Will, Matthew, and Alexandra, appear as subjects in the movie, and they were interviewed by Variety, and they basically say, the headline to the story is, Christopher Reeve's children never watched that abominable Flash CGI cameo. They say he would choose Remains of the Day. Christopher Reeve would choose Remains of the Day over Superman as the film he would be most proud of. Interesting.
Which, I mean, I feel like I've seen that movie. I don't remember if I have or not, actually. Yeah, because I remember even after the accident, he was still doing some acting and
right.
You know, and stuff. And I think I've seen a couple of stuff that he's been in, but yeah, but obviously Superman is the one. You know,
right, that's what most people know him for,
right, especially us, but definitely. So, and not surprised. You know what, I'm like, I haven't seen it either, folks. I haven't seen that Flash movie. Wait, did you actually finally watch it, or you still hadn't watched it yet?
What are you talking about? I went to see it opening night.
A Flash movie?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought I don't see.
I even posted a story on Instagram with my buddy Malcolm because he went dressed up as One Chain Bruce Wayne.
Oh, that was from that. Okay.
Yeah, because it was a Batman thing. Right, because a Batman thing. Right, you don't realize that was an awful Flash movie.
Right. Well, not even that. It was just I wasn't thinking about it because obviously, time and wasn't giving a damn about the movie either way. But yeah, I totally forgot that was from that.
One Chain Bruce Wayne.
Indeed. Yeah, I still haven't seen that Flash movie. One of these days, maybe, but I don't want to see the Scarlet Criminal anytime
I
soon.
mean, listen, we were talking before about the movie Seven actually having some rewatchable value.
Mhm.
Flash movie has no rewatchable value.
Well, I'm about to say, especially at this point, because all of that stuff is of an era now, thanks to
Seriously.
Aquaman.
Like
So-
no rewatchable value at all for me.
Right. So moving right along, though, I'm gonna throw this article in here really, really quick because But hey, guess what, folks? Did you want a Bob the Builder animated Bob the Builder movie that's produced by Jennifer Lopez? Well, guess what? You're gonna get one.
What?
Yep. And it's going to be starring Anthony Ramos of recently of Transformers Rise of the Beast fame, but I know he's probably done other stuff. But yeah, there you go.
Did you just put that in the sheet?
I
All right,
sure
I'm clicking
did.
load.
Well, no, I didn't put it in the sheet yet, but I pulled it up. I'm about to put it in a second, but before I get to this next article, or
Got
I
it,
get
got
into
it,
this
got it,
next
got it.
article, which is the actual article that's in a new Madam Web character posters features the main heroes and the villain. Apparently, from recent reports, Madam Web is going to be a period piece. Yeah, but also we still don't know what the hell it is, but we know it's coming out next month on the 14th, just in time for.
Gosh.
Yeah, so as you can see, if you're watching the video version, you can see the character posters, which is mostly black and white, with the exception of their eyes and or suits, whatever the case may be. Sure.
Wait, so the main villain supposed to be Ezekiel?
I don't know.
Oh my god, with these movies.
As I said this on Twitter, and I say this again, I don't think they fucking know what this movie's gonna be.
It's awful, man. Oh my god.
And
I mean, I don't think those are the strongest Spider-Man stories, but out of these stories, we did get Silk.
Yes, but at the same time, like, well, you know what? If Silk was in here and it's like, well, they're going to use this to kind of jumpstart whatever that show is, then I would have been happy with that. That would have been fine with me. Yeah, would I have still watched it or will? Yeah, but I would have probably been more apt to watch it if I knew that was going to be the game. We just still don't know what the hell this thing's going to be.
Right.
Like, all we know is that there are 4 different alternate Spider Women, of whom none of them ever in the books, well, up until like Spider-Verse type stuff, shared any time together, because they were from different times, and I think probably one of them was even from a different universe. Maybe I don't remember. No, most of them were 6 from 6, because there's Anya definitely and Maddie Franklin, but I don't remember that. Regardless, hey, that's the thing. Okay, I just put that Bob the Builder story in the thing above that Madam Web story. But yeah, those are really. I think we said more about that movie than that needed to be said. But regardless, next up.
Next up, Deadpool 3 officially wraps shooting. Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman have shared new behind-the-scenes photos and comments. Listen, this movie's coming out this year, whether you expected it to or not. But obviously the SAG, AFTRA, and WGA strikes put the brakes on this, but they did finally finish. Whether or not they go back for reshoots is another story. But bottom line is, we expect to see this come out this year, because post-production is starting right away.
Right. Oh, most assuredly, there are probably going to be some reshoots, because I mean, that usually, when the brakes aren't on, it was going to happen regardless. So I'm sure if they have to, they will definitely do that.
Right.
With no holds barred at this point. So I don't know. I still haven't seen the second one, so I guess I will probably do it, because I know people are saying this might go some way to set up the X-Men coming into the universe.
We've already gotten some setup. That's the thing.
Well, there is
It's
that.
just going to continue. It's just going to continue that setup. We've already seen the setup.
Presumably, yes, because of Doctor Strange. Yes.
No, the
Wait.
Marvels.
Well, I mean, yes, that too. But I'm just saying, but that did start in a way started in Doctor Strange because of
I agree with that, but
Yeah.
I think we've already
but
seen the
yes,
setup
you are
in
right.
the
Yes.
Marvels. Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, we'll see how that plays out. Next up though, Marvel restarts production on Daredevil Born Again. That's not a big surprise because aforementioned, strike being over. So, and this is coming off the heels of Echo, which we talked about last week. Week before this.
Yeah, so last
Recently.
week.
Yeah. Twitch. Hey, I still like the show. It's still pretty good. I don't know if I'll watch it again anytime soon, but yeah, it is what it is. But hey, no surprise, Daredevil Born Again is back into production. So as far as I know, they're up there where you are, Agent 70, and I don't know if there's any. I don't know if it says here, of any production type situations like it normally would be found. But I'm sure that will probably come about if it hasn't already. It does say here in this article that the show will not be 18 episodes as first announced, or that of a typical broadcast network season, but will be more in line with the original Netflix model of lower episode counts. So, and then they go into the tease and Echo and blah, 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 blah. So, now the question is, and this is probably most likely the case, what happened at the end of Echo be accounted for in this? Probably, but we don't know that for sure. Or in some way it probably will be. I don't know. Next up though.
Right. So speaking of, Wilson Bethel's Bullseye, or the character we all presume to be Bullseye, is returning for Daredevil Born Again. So this is the character named Benjamin Poindexter from the third season of Netflix's Daredevil, is returning to the MCU during the events of Daredevil Born Again. Marvel did not respond to comment for the story. Interestingly, in this particular article, I did not realize that the plan is to keep what has already been filmed and work around that, because they're going to basically shrink it down to a 12 or 13 episode season as opposed to the original 18 episode order. So reports have described Bullseye appearing in 3 episodes out of these 13 or so episodes. So or 13 or 12 episodes. So we'll see how that all plays out. It'd be interesting to see how they work in what they already filmed.
Right. Also, I was wondering why I wasn't familiar with the fact that Bullseye was in the first one. So like, I hadn't seen this the third season. That makes total sense now. I'm like, who the hell? When did this happen? I'm not gonna put that in there. But next up, Patrick Stewart on why his Doctor Strange cameo, speaking of, was frustrating and disappointing, according to and I should just flip the this with the other things, because basically he was on some podcast and teased a potential return as Charles Xavier in Deadpool 3. But it says here also that, as he quoted, I was alone. I think each of us, of the leading actors, had the same experience, talking about his cameo in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. It was challenging. It was frustrating and disappointing, excuse me. But that is how it has been. The last few years have been challenging. So, yeah. Next up.
Alrighty. X-Men 97 high-res character images offer new looks at the animated TV show's heroic leads. So you can see Cyclops and Jean Grey, but there are other characters, obviously, that we're going to see, including Storm, Wolverine, Beast, Gambit, Jubilee, Sunspot, Morph, Rogue, Bishop, and the Master of Magnetism, Magneto. But there's going to be some different things happening here in this series. Hopefully, we will actually see this later sometime this year in 2024.
I believe it is set for later this year, the last I checked. But, well, yeah, we'll see if that changes or not. Speaking of though, we get the first look at the also look at the first 8 superhero logos for said characters. I think this is kind of going along with that last one as well. So there you go. You know, if you remember the original X-Men show and how they had their intros in the title in the opening, then yeah, it's probably going to be similar to that. Seems like. Next up, I was about to say I still hadn't seen that other X-Men show, the one where they were younger. I might dive into that one of these days. But next up,
I love how the Magneto one is essentially a pose from Marvel versus Capcom or the X-Men video game.
right? Wait, what do you?
That's literally like the pose that he has when he's firing off his his fireball move.
Oh wait, is this in the last?
Yeah, the last story.
Oh, there you
The
go.
last story. Looking at the
Yeah.
images, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's exactly what he looks like. Now I want to play any Marvel versus Capcom or
Yeah,
that
you do.
have.
Yeah, you do. Because those shits are good, except for that last one. But anyway, you could probably still find Ultimate MVC 3 out there for like really cheap. So
Yep.
just a matter of
I
getting
mean,
it.
I think I would still have to get a PS5 to play that.
I mean, you can get a PS4 too, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, sure.
That's true.
But you might as well get a PS5. Come on.
I
So you can get in
know,
on Spider-Man.
No, I know.
You can get in on
Listen, I
Spider-Man.
barely have time for anything right now. I'm not.
Uh,
That's one of the reasons we've had this discussion on this show before. Why
Sure.
I don't get a PS5.
Sure.
You know.
Right.
Anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
President Bartlett.
What's next?
Watch the Star Wars Bad Batch Season 3 trailer. It's out there. I haven't watched it yet, but it's out there. Final season will kick off with a 3-episode premiere Wednesday, February the 21st. If I'm not mistaken, I did hear some rumblings about Asajj Ventress showing up in this, and also I don't think I have. Well, I'm going to take this next one since it's already since I've already mentioned it.
Sure.
Her Asajj Ventress's death in the original Star Wars canon has not been is no longer canon, which is pretty much saying, hey, and since she's apparently is reportedly going to be in Bad Batch Season 3, yeah, she couldn't be alive if she had died by some means a while ago. So usually when they do this,
Did they kill her during Clone Wars?
No, I think this is a book after
okay.
the fact. Yeah. Or at some point after the fact, I think.
Oh, in the canon novel Dark Disciple.
Right. So, which a lot of that stuff, is not even canon anymore because like they're going to cherry pick what they tend to use or not. And just like in this case. So it's cool because I like that character. I still think her and Obi-Wan had a thing going on, but I don't know.
Of course they did. Oh, of course they did.
Yeah,
They absolutely did.
There was a lot of hello there going on. Because you could tell it by those Clone Wars episodes. Some of those Clone Wars were like, yeah, there's something else here. Come on.
Yes. Yes. There's listen, shout out to Mallory Rubin over at the Ringerverse. No, at the Ringer. Yeah, Asajj Ventress, that there's definitely some some sexual tension between herself and Obi-Wan Kenobi, especially during Clone Wars. So
absolutely. And at the end of Clone Wars, if I remember correctly, she had pretty much well, everybody on Dathomir had died, and she had kind of been forsaken by Dooku and whatnot, but he's whatever, and she had ended up being like a bounty hunter or something, or basically at the very least a merc. So
right.
So if all you remember her from is the Clone Wars, then she was still alive, unless you read that book. Which
seriously, that's what I thought too. I was like, wait, she's dead. So you know what? I'm very much looking forward to actually saying this when I watch the Bad Batch. I didn't even know the trailer was out, but here we go.
Hello there.
Absolutely. I think I have that book actually. Now that I think about it, I don't think I ever read it, or I got a snippet of that book. Regardless, it doesn't matter. Next up though,
All right, 1 second. Let me just click back. I'm definitely not going to bed until I watch this trailer. I'm gonna enjoy that. Next up, Tron 3 starts shooting first set photo release. So apparently, Tron 3 has officially started filming, and now there is a set photo out there. It is a sequel to Tron 2, which came out what year?
Tron Legacy, I believe that was.
Oh, Tron Legacy.
Yeah, that's well, it was still Tron 2, but yeah, that's what it
Right.
was called.
Dang if I know because I didn't watch it.
I did. It was all right. 2010.
Gotcha. That's a while.
I mean, consider how long it was from from the original Tron to that. Yeah,
That's true. That's true.
you know,
Very true.
yeah. I
All
think
right.
this one is more Jared Leto focused, which I'm not crazy about because I know we had talked about this, and I'm not crazy about him regardless.
Right.
But he was also, if I'm not mistaken, was in Legacy as a side character. So I guess they're just taking it from there. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, it is what it is, I guess. I don't know why people like him, but that's just them. Mortal Kombat 2 movie producer teases Carl Urban's Johnny Cage in a new photo. Which I thought, I looked at this picture, and I don't know if this is a picture from him and the boys, but that's what it looks like, a picture of him and the boys. And I haven't even seen the boys, so I don't know. But basically, I think there was also another picture with the Cage belt buckle. Not Luke Cage, but Johnny Cage, which, you know, I feel like one bit the other, wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, Carl Urban still getting that work.
Oh yeah.
So, which is good. You know, I like him in a lot of stuff. It's like he has done a surprisingly good McCoy in Star Trek movies.
I liked him as McCoy. You know,
Yeah.
I like his McCoy.
Yeah, so he's almost like a chameleon because I think he also play RoboCop or Judge Dredd. It was Judge Dredd.
Judge Dredd.
Yes, I was just saying I hadn't seen that movie.
Dredd.
So
Wait, so now I gotta take a look at this. I gotta take a look at this Cage thing. Because Johnny Cage has a look, and I never thought that Carl Urban had that look, so now I'm curious.
True, but they've also changed Johnny Cage's look over the course of games.
Have?
Yeah, including this last game.
I only have the first iteration of Cage in my head. Johnny Cage.
No, he's gotten, all of the characters have gotten older. They even rebooted that whole thing with this last one. They totally did a reboot.
Really?
So it's that the thing's still.
That's like a Luke Cage belt buckle.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
What the hell? Oh, come on. Anyway,
That was why I said that. I was like, oh, really? Okay, but you
goodness gracious. All right, next up. Get away from this. Speaking of the boys season 4 release. New announcement signals the bad news for premiere window. Boo.
Yeah.
So apparently, you know, a recent announcement from Amazon Prime Video spells trouble for fans of The Boys and the show's season 4 premiere date. Although The Boys season 4 wrapped production in April 2023, the strike still had their impact on development. Some ADR voiceover work was still left to be done after filming, but it couldn't not be completed because of the strikes. So apparently an official premiere date was not included in the Amazon hold on. I just got to keep scrolling because apparently the people were expecting at the after the season finale of the Prime Video spinoff Gen V to get a release date, but it didn't come. Let's see here. Oh, I mean, there's some speculation. So apparently they're using other context, other announced releases to kind of place this. So they're looking for this article speculates that it'll be sometime in May or even June of this year.
Right.
So yeah, so nothing's been announced yet. That's one of the key things to remember, and we'll see what the official announcement says.
Right, and the whole ADR thing is kind of weird, which I guess, well, it's not weird because I mean that's the thing that happens, but it's like that being the hold over because of the strike is slightly kind of weird to me, but I don't know how all that plays out. So either way, it doesn't matter. Next up, though, Sad news: Alien Nation and Star Trek Enterprise star Gary Graham dies at 73. I remember him from Alien Nation. He was the lead dude in Alien Nation, if you remember that show. But yes, it says here that the actor's ex-wife was the one who announced the news on Facebook and said, "It is with deep, profound sadness to say that Gary Graham, my ex-husband, amazing actor and father of our beautiful only child together, Haley Graham, has passed away today." Oh, he was Soval in Enterprise. Okay, I remember that character. And then it's a couple of quotes here and there. And if you're watching the video version, you can see a picture of him looking at a Star Trek poster. So yeah, there you go. Next up.
How Godzilla -1's black and white version is different from the original, explained by the director. Oh, this is a good article to read, because I was thinking about maybe catching this in black and white. So let's see what's different about it. So Godzilla -1 Color is a black and white version of the original film, set for release in the US on February 12th. Actually, February 1, so that's a typo. Right? So it's going to hit theaters starting on February 1, and I understand it's a limited release.
Yes.
It's in conversation with the Wrap, Yamazaki, the director, explains how it's different. The director points out that the original 1954 version of Godzilla is, of course, in black and white. So, he wanted to see what it would look like, what this movie would look like in black and white with the modern technology. Let's see. So what's different is they went back to the colorist and they actually masked different portions of each shot. So that's partially what's different. So it's not necessarily just, making it black and white and throwing it back on the screen. It, in a sense, increases the reality, he says, feeling almost like a documentary and making audiences feel that Godzilla actually exists. This version is apparently way scarier than the color version. So it feels like a different film. That's interesting.
I have heard that doing such a treatment has worked for certain films.
I'm definitely interested, and obviously I'm trying to convince Roddykat to watch it in the theaters before it leaves the theaters. Having already seen the color version, I'm actually kind of curious to see what the minus color version looks like.
I thought it had left the theater already. Oh no! Well, wait, no. I'm seeing. I just looked on Fandango. I see -1 color.
Yeah, so I think that's what's there now. Oh, actually, it may have already left.
Yeah, I think it did, because I think the last time we talked about it, I think it had left that weekend.
Got it. So after a brief break, basically, from the theaters, it's going to be back, but with the in the minus color version.
Right. Yeah, and looks like if Fandango is to be believed, it looks like it is already. They got tickets out for it, unless that is. No, it says minus color. I don't know. That's weird. I had to look into that.
I'll look into it too. Because I am definitely. This is a movie I saw on my own. I didn't expect anyone to come with me to go see it. I just went and watched it because I wanted to go see it. So I may just pick a day when I'm not playing volleyball after work and just go.
Right. So yeah, I don't know if that that definitely was a typo you saw in the beginning of this article in the summary, I believe. But at the same time,
right.
Fandango is saying it's. And this is listed up until the 1st, which it looks like it's got listings for. So, actually, I take that back. Oh no, that's right. Never mind. That's because.
Are you on the Fandango page?
I'm on the Fandango page. Yeah. Okay. So today's ones were out. Friday, Saturday. Yeah. So I'm seeing. You can get times for tomorrow.
We're talking about the regular -1, right?
No, for minus color.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, this was like, hey, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, you can get it now.
So I don't know. So As the time you hear this recording, it's probably may already be in theaters. The Godzilla -1 minus color version.
Yeah, you can go now. Shoot, I may just do that depending on the weather over the next couple of days. Like if I just, if I decide to switch up plans, like, you know what, I'm just gonna go and just, just watch it, just enjoy it.
Right. That being said, Shin Godzilla is on Crunchyroll, not a sponsor, just saying if you hadn't seen that.
Is it?
Yeah. I forgot to tell you that a while ago. It's been out there for a while.
It's on Crunchyroll?
I was kind of shocked too, but they do have some live action stuff here and there for things. But I was like,
I haven't seen Shin Godzilla since it left the theaters.
Well, there you go. Now you can check it out there. Yeah, because like I said, I saw it a while back. I was like, that's odd.
I saw it in the theaters, like like the limited release that we all thought -1 was going to get, but obviously -1 gained so much more traction in the theaters.
Right.
Alrighty. Do I have the next story?
No.
No,
you
you
took
do.
this one, so yeah. But it is a Godzilla one. So Godzilla is now Oscar nominated.
Yes. It's only for one of the minor ones, but it's also the one, like the category that most of the genre films get nominated for.
Right. So it is up for Best Visual Effects alongside The Creator, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, which is Part 1, which I still haven't seen, and
Same,
Napoleon.
because I don't get Paramount. I know Roddykat gets Paramount Plus.
I do, and I still haven't watched it yet. That's crazy.
Ah!
Which actually, I got to tell you about something else that was kind of funny that I just that just happened recently about something we were talking about. Either way, and Napoleon, I don't care nothing about. Why are they making movies about terrible people? Continuing to do that, it makes no sense.
Please, I was about to say, I know that I definitely have a soft spot for Guardians 3, but I'm pretty much rooting for -1 in this category.
I mean, I would too, and I hadn't even seen it, so I agree. I mean, Volume 3 was all right, but it's I don't know if it's even the effects were good, but I don't know if it's all that. So if you're watching the video version, you'll probably be able to see the fact that I do have on Crunchyroll. You can see on Crunchyroll site, Shin Godzilla is.
Oh yeah, no, I just pulled it up. I pulled it up on another device on my iPad, and I see it.
Yeah, so there you go.
That may be like viewing this weekend for me. We'll see.
Nice. Next up, though, we are.
Wait, why does this article say King Kong still reigns supreme? Because he's got Oscar. It got nods for
several King Kong films.
Remake. I got it.
Yeah, they've had nods before.
Got it.
So, yeah. There's a quote here I should almost was going to say about from the effects artist, but we don't have to worry about that. You can do it for yourself, but it's cool. But yeah, we're gonna get into the anime corner.
Oh, wait, hold on. Before I spin up an anime thing. So apparently the Jack Black version, Peter Jackson's King Kong, scored a bunch of nominations.
Yes.
Dang. Well, because, for like it or not, obviously Kong has seen more Hollywood love. So, the legendary movies are probably the only, because no one's going to nominate that 1998 Godzilla movie for anything.
They will not. Sorry to Matthew Broderick, but no.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. So here we go. Anime corner. Sword Art Online has a new movie in production. So this is in production, and I guess it's scheduled to maybe come out in 2024. Let's see here. So this is a hit anime that crossed its 10-year anniversary in 2022. It is on my list of anime to watch, and it is still thriving. So
wait, was that on the list?
Sword Art Online?
Yeah. Huh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it's one of the members of my anime advisory council put that on my list. I'm pretty sure. I don't want to misquote. I do have my my trusty list in my notebook nearby. But meanwhile, Sora Online is moving forward behind the scenes for an upcoming film. So yeah, it says there's no release date yet, but it's hopefully anticipated for 2025. It's in production. That's all it says.
2024, according to the
okay.
byline or the
Yeah.
So yeah, Sword Art Online is like, okay, they made that when they made Log Horizon, and there's been a few of those, and then Isekai ended up blowing up also, but that's beside the point. So for those that don't know, hey, people get trapped in an MMO. Video gamers get trapped in an MMO. How, you ask? Well, you know, this is our virtual reality.
It's definitely
future.
on my list. It's on my list.
Yeah, it is. This is our virtual reality future, possibly. So, I think I've watched a couple of episodes of it, and I said I was going to come back to it. But that thing is kind of still going. It's ridiculous. I think there's been a couple of spinoffs also. So, either way, next up though, the Rising of the Shield Hero season 4 has been announced, and of course, Crunchyroll is going to stream the new season because, of course, they are. It says here that it's going to stream on Crunchyroll in North America, Central America, South America, There's no date in place yet, but stay tuned for further information. And I know people like that show. I have seen rumblings of it online, but I've never watched it. So there you go. Next up,
Demon Slayer anime broadcast special edition of Entertainment District arc in February to prime the pump for the next arc coming out. So let's see what this article says. Waiting for it to load. So with Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba returning to TV in spring 2024, it's a great time to get refreshed. So they're doing a 2-part special edition airing. So this is for viewers in Japan, apparently. Right. The Entertainment District special edition airing will be aired in Fuji TV Saturday Premium Block. So that basically reviews the events of episodes 34 to 44. That's cool.
Yeah, they've done this before in the past arcs. So this is not outside the realm of what has happened before.
Exactly.
But still, it's cool to see, and I think we're going to get the movie definitely. But you can just go on wherever.
Yeah,
and
February 22nd.
Mm-hmm.
That's the whatchamacallit, the premiere. Right. So I think it's going to be like the last premiere, which is like the last 2 episodes of the previous season, and then they're going to drop the first episode of the new season.
I believe that is the case, but it doesn't say that here. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. Put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Like that.
Yeah. You watch the Swordsmith Village arc finale and then get a sneak peek. Got it.
So yeah, like I said, they've done that before, so not a big surprise.
I mean, I attended it, so I know.
Right. Aniplex and Crunchyroll announced Demon Slayer well, wait, hold on. Oh yeah, so these are the dates that's actually for the Hashira training theatrical dates, actually. Starting from February 21st to the 27th, and they are in places that are not the US. So, well, actually, I take it back. North American theaters, including IMAX and premium large formats, will be running February 23rd. There you go. And that is the Tuta Hashira training event. So there you go. Catch it, believe it, as the other anime character would say. Next up, though.
Hold on. Solo Leveling took a big risk by rejecting the big new anime trend, apparently. I'm just opening the article now, so give me a moment. Instead of following in the footsteps of Oshi Noko and Frieren, Solo Leveling's prologue is split into one apparently okay debut and one spectacular follow-up. That's some editorializing right there.
Yeah, it is.
So, these are spoilers for episode 2. I'm not going to go into this. I have not watched this yet. I'm not familiar with the story. I don't know if I'm going to start it, but okay.
I am. It's great. It's good so far. I'm not gonna. I don't want to get hyperbolic, but I think it's good so far. And I have read some of the at the very least this part of the manga.
Got it.
And it pretty much captures it pretty well. So I thought it was fine. Whoever's writing this is whatever. I know episode 3 is out there, and I haven't watched it yet, and 4 is about to come out. Probably not too long from now.
Okay.
Next up, though, Crunchyroll's complicated new isekai reverses the genre's central trope, and apparently there's yet another isekai called Sasaki and Peeps, in which the roles of the fantasy world and the modern world has been clearly established. Apparently the main character works in the fantasy world, but I guess lives in the real world or something, according to what it's saying. The anime maintains a focus on the modern world and the action that takes place there, while the fantasy world serves as a backdrop for trade and commerce. So, sure, that's an interesting flip, but that's also kind of sounds like Digimon, where they kind of was going back and forth at a certain time. But either way, hey, it is what it is. Next up, though. Oh, we get into the manga corner. But before we do that, I'm going to throw something in here really, really quick. I'm so sorry. Very quick. I forgot to do. So the if you remember, I was talking about the Kyoto animation fire from 2019, I think it is. Well, they caught the arsonist, and he has been sentenced to death.
Oh, good for him.
Yes, and I'm saying see, U.S., you can do that same thing with the people from January 6th. That's all I'm saying. That's just me saying that. That's just me. But yeah, that's the thing. I just wanted to bring that up real quick. So they caught the guy, and he's about to get. Next up, though, actually, wait, did I skip one?
This is my story.
Yes.
So apparently there is a Squid Game-like anime called Tasuketsu, and it's confirmed for 2024. So it's a survival game type a story, and it's apparently even more brutal than Squid Game. Okay.
So it's Battle Royale, the whole thing, where the whole thing started from.
I know. I mean, come on.
Look, if y'all haven't seen Battle Royale, you should. It's good. It's really good.
I mean, I honestly don't think I've seen it all the way through, so I may have to circle back to that.
I mean, granted, it's brutal, and it's not US. It's not US made, but it's good. And like I said, this is where all that shit kind of came from. So let us not kid ourselves. But hey, there you go. Now we're gonna get into the manga corner. My Hero, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I was just thinking of what I was going to play, and I'm like, oh, am I up to date on the My Hero manga? And it looks like I am now 2 chapters behind because they just put out a couple of new ones in January.
Nice. Yeah.
So I'm going to circle back and read them because of the holidays, some things go on not hiatus, but on temporary break. So
right. I am teetering very so closely into getting in on that because I keep seeing stuff on it lately. I was like, you know what? I might as well go ahead and bite the bullet after I finish whatever I need to catch up on. But regardless, Naruto's Sarada's crush on Boruto is ready to take center stage. This is from Boruto to Blue Vortex, which is the manga. I guess is the next stage of that whole manga thing. And basically, if you did not know, that is Naruto's son. So, picks up after 3 years after some things happen in that last that last thing, because I don't know anything about what's happened in Naruto leading up to Shippuden. So you got me. But regardless, hey, there's the son is doing some things, and there you go. Next up.
So I kind of appreciate this spoiling this particular story for me. I kind of do. So apparently the Dragon Ball Super manga has finally revealed why Biru-sama is training Goku and Vegeta. And I'm not going to spoil it, but I'm glad that this article's out there. So if you're interested in this, it makes sense.
Yes.
It just makes sense.
It
It's
very much
so
does.
straightforward and it makes sense.
Right. Because if you know anything about the character of Beerus, like, why was he even care?
Right.
And it makes total sense. So
Absolutely. I'm like, you know what? That's so logical. I'm like, okay, I get it. You
now,
know?
granted, only one of them would probably likely take the job, and it's probably not the one who would be the better of the the stronger of the two.
Exactly.
But that's funny either way. Next up, though, we get into some comic book news.
One second.
Meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice.
Might as well go ahead and do that right there where we're headed. So apparently Batman's going to get his own Spider-Verse. Yeah. And this is spoilers for, is this a spoilers for something? I think this is The Outsiders, yeah. So apparently readers of The Outsiders, which I've been meaning to check out, weirdly enough, were introduced to the Bat Dimension in Outsiders #3 by Jackson Lansing, Colin Kelly, and Robert Carey. The Bat Dimension seems to be a dimension where the various subconsciousness of Batman across the multiverse can gather to train and come up with ideas to fight crime better. So basically, it's the Council of the Council of Reeds.
Yeah. It's everywhere. I was about to say, it's not a Spider-Verse thing. This was
Right.
Council of Reeds. This is you know, I mean, obviously the Crisis on Infinite Earths type stuff.
Yeah, I mean, but you can see why the Spider-Verse is forefront to whoever wrote this is mine. But yeah,
Right. This is it's pretty funny about the Batman. Gosh.
right. So, I'm not caring about being spoiled about this, and I'm seeing a page on the looks like that's 40s Batman. Okay, so that's whatever. So yeah, this whole thing is weird. Okay, yeah. So it was a spoiler for Outsiders #3, which I think came out last week or something. Next up.
Okay. I had to take a look at that though. Give me a minute. Give me a second. All right. So so DC officially debuts the code name of its next generation of heroes. So these are the children of Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman.
Which I looked at this and I'm like, didn't we establish that in Future State in a way?
God. So these are spoilers for Wonder Woman #5. So apparently, I don't even want to get into this. I'm like, I just groaned. So apparently the team name is Gen S. God.
Sure, as opposed to like Gen 13 or something. But
Yeah.
and I know we we're getting introduced to Wonder Woman's Diana's daughter, and what have you, this and that and the other. So yeah, actually, that's another book I've been wanting to catch up on because of the whole Amazon outlawed thing going on.
Wait, so is that Damien who's running around in that costume, just like it was in the?
Probably.
Yeah.
Gosh. It says here, doesn't it? Yep. Elizabeth Damien and John, of course.
Wait, so who's the father of Wonder Woman's daughter?
You got me there, pal. I was about to say Steve Trevor. I don't know because I hadn't looked at that. I'm not sure. Maybe she's made out of clay like her mom.
Yeah, it is Damien. Okay.
Yeah. So it's Damien, John, and
Elizabeth.
Yes, Elizabeth Marston Prince, which is her name. And I don't think it says who the father is. I don't think it even matters. But it's like that's what I'm saying. Maybe she's
right. So maybe it's
not
just, it was just straight up Amazon. Amazon.
Right. She's made out of clay like her mom, or like a version of her mom, or something. I don't know.
Right. Maybe. Okay.
Yeah. Next up, though, oh yeah, so this is what I teased earlier. So from the pages of Immortal Thor. Well, actually, according to this article, I'm just going to read this press release. Yesterday, the industry was shook when they learned that ROXXON Energy Corporation had bought out Marvel Comics. Spoiler alert for recent issues of Immortal Thor. Their first order of business will be releasing an all-new Thor one-shot this April titled ROXXON Presents Thor #1. And they even got current Immortal Thor scribe Al Ewing and superstar Marvel artist. You ready for this?
I know. No!
Greg. Agent 70's favorite Greg Land to create it. The one shot will introduce the all-new ROXXON Thor. Whenever saving the Earth is taken too far, the ROXXON Thor will be there to defend big business and the sanctity of shareholder value.
I did not read the pitch. I just saw Greg Land was associated with it, and I was like,
Oh,
And you were like, I'm out.
yeah, I'm out. I mean, listen. I have been collecting physical copies of Immortal Thor. I do not think I'm going to get a copy of ROXXON Presents Thor.
Right. So the last page,
It's a one shot, thank God.
It is a one shot, but who's to say, how it's going to reverberate through the pages? Because we do see the shades of this happening or something happening in this week's Immortal Thor. So
right.
we kind of have an idea how it's going to get there.
Right.
Also, that weirdly, because of that description, kind of had a The Boys feel to it, even though I have not watched The Boys. I don't know. I can't put my finger as to why that is. But a corporate, a corporate sponsored superhero, if that is seeming like this is going to be the case here, is not anything new. But
right.
Just seems kind of familiar. Regardless, so that's the thing.
Away with thee, Greg Land. Away with thee.
Next up.
Lord. God. I mean, if you look at this article, right, it's pretty cool that they have, the Enchantress cover for Immortal Thor with her ripping apart the cover of Journey into Mystery, the first appearance of Marvel's Thor. Mm-hmm. That's really cool. And then you scroll down and you look at the cover that Greg Land did, and you're just like, oh.
And they're going to make a Marvel figure of that figure?
Oh. Oh, the pain. I thought it was so bad. I thought it was bad that there's a Marvel Legends of Clore, right? Like the clone Thor from
right.
Civil War. I mean, not Civil from is it Civil War?
Oh, yes, Civil War. Yes,
it is Civil War. Yeah, Clore. Because I had to get that to get the spinny Mjolnir hammer effect.
Yes, thank you for reminding me of who killed Bill Foster. Thanks. Thank you for reminding me of that. Appreciate it.
He'll come back eventually. As soon as somebody comes up with a story that needs Bill Foster, they'll bring him back. Anyway,
not going to be such story unless I write.
Next up, Marvel's Blood Hunt is set to receive special red band editions because, of course, they're going to make it bloody. So apparently, it's going to be even bloodier than you think. So they're going to, so the series by Jed McKay and Pepe Larraz will be available, expanded and expurgated. Really? I don't know what that means. Expurgated in special red band editions labeled with a parental advisory and polybag to keep those weak of heart from experiencing its intensity. The red band editions will contain additional pages and more graphic art, too explicit for the regular edition. Okay.
This is not Marvel Knights. It can't be that bad.
I know.
But going back to that the last story real quick, I was just reminded of something. Al Ewing also wrote Agents of Loki, Agents of Asgard, in which there was some. I think that's when he became the God of Stories, actually. So, or either that or the next volume after that, I can't remember. So, regardless, this whole using the comics, the whole comic book storytelling thing that he's doing right now is still also something out of his bag. So And I don't know if he's going to refer back to that, but that's going to be funny. Regardless, so yeah, I don't know. Blood Hunt, that's going to be a thing, sure. Polybagged, I mean red bag. I guess, sure, whatever. Next up, though, we got a preview of Marvel's Mason Windu #1, which showcases the prequel hero in an early adventure. So it's probably still going to be, well, according to this cover, a mission before the rise of the Separatists and the Clone Wars. So yeah, so basically right before the Clone Wars start, I guess this is what's going to happen. February 7th. Sure, why not? Written by Marv Bernard. I'm pretty sure that's Mark, not Marv, unless he's got a brother. But Mark Bernardin, and penciled by Georges Jonti, with a cover by Mateus Manhani, arrives on February 7th, like I said. So
yes, this is Mark Bernardin from Fat Man Beyond.
And this is on StarWars.com, so that's a typo that you wouldn't think would have made the cut. But so yeah, there you go. And there's some preview pages here if you're interested in. It looks like a younger Mace Windu, and not the I was gonna say grizzled, not the Samuel L. Jackson version or the TC Carson version, I guess. Next up, though.
Now you make me want to look up this this typo. Let me see. Where's the typo?
It's like right above the first image.
So Mace Windu #1, written by Marv. Oh my God, that's terrible. It's Mark Bernardin. Oh my God.
I mean, you know, hey, I'm editing.
That's really bad.
It happens. It happens.
All right. And you know what's funny is that if I would get to 10, you know, obviously they're probably relying on spell check. Spell check will not pick that up because Marv is, of course, a shortened version of Marvin.
Oh, that is also true.
So I got this article.
Yes, you do.
Which is not necessarily, let's just say, canon. It's more editorializing. It's more observation than anything.
We'll go with that.
So, right. So the headline of this article is that Marvel has confirmed a Spider-Man 3 movie plot involving Mary Jane Watson has become comics canon. So basically, this article goes on to say that even in the comics, Mary Jane's acting ability is still not up to par, as demonstrated when her bad acting gives away a plan to trick a villain in Jackpot #1. And according to the writer of this article, Mary Jane's superhero persona, Jackpot, is a better fit for her than her acting career ever was. Nope. And apparently Mary Jane's superhero powers give her a new sense of direction in life, and she realizes that being a hero is a greater use of her abilities than pursuing an acting career.
Ooh, I'm tired.
So, we've brought Mary Jane, forget full circle, right? Because now we put her into the shoes of Peter Parker, who she used to worry about day in and day out, going out and risking his life to save others. Now she's the one doing it, right? And I get that. I see that they're moving the character into a different direction. But come on, folks.
Again, like you said, Age of 70, this is a little bit of editorializing by the case of the writer, because I also don't agree with what they think about this, but I thought it was kind of funny to put that in here. Or this site tends to do stuff like that. I'm like, okay, you just go away. Just go away.
Yeah. I'm honestly waiting for Paul to get killed in a very gruesome and graphic manner.
And speaking of which, we get to the next article, of which I hinted to Agent 70 about earlier before the show. Marvel confirms MJ and Spider-Man's romance is officially dead, and that's good for her. According to
wait, is this written by the same person? No, it's
from
not.
the same
But
site, though.
It's published on the same site. That's correct.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So,
I love the subtitle. I love the subheading. Please read that.
Uh-huh. Yes, while Mary Jane's new partner, Paul, may be incredibly unpopular with readers, true, he provides support for MJ in ways that Spider-Man could not. Never could, excuse me. which there's probably some truth to that, but the first part is more true than possibly the last parts. So yeah, this article kind of goes, puts his think piece hat on. And there's also spoilers for that Jackpot #1, the aforementioned Jackpot #1, of which neither one of us have read. Oh wait, do you?
I skimmed it,
Yeah.
but it didn't come close to reading it.
Right. So basically, Mary Jane suits up as Jackpot because we know she's had her powers in the pages of Amazing. Amazing. Not too long ago, but she's in gang war now. So, and Paul is her man in the chair. According to this article, and according to this article, the pair work in perfect sync with each other. Blah 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 blah. Which some would argue, okay, yes, they spent all that time in that other dimension, whatever the hell, so they've had time to kind of gel with each other in a way that probably her and Peter could not. That's just me, saying that. I don't know if that's where they go in this article. I still don't think. I don't like that dude either, and he should probably go somewhere sooner rather than later. But gruesome death.
I'm waiting for the Goblin glider to impale that guy, or have him dropped from the Brooklyn Bridge.
I don't think either one of those is going to happen. That would be some funny shit either way, or both. Like he drops and then gets impaled on the way down.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
But regardless. Yeah, but like I said, this I don't think they're going to do anything anytime soon because, like I said, we've said earlier the only relationship in the Marvel universes that have stuck with any length of time has been Reed and Sue's, and most everybody else who's had some sort of long-term relationship either doesn't have that anymore, or now in the case of like Storm got a new boo, and for however long that lasts, and or Gambit and Rogue, who just got married in recent years, even after, as Agent 70 said, a very long courtship. So, which I think almost, I want to say kind of, well, they played it up more in the X-Men animated series, but you can see shades of that in the books regardless. So yeah, but I'm probably going to read this Jackpot #1 because I was going to actually do it because it was a Gang War tie-in, but these whole think piece things have got to go. And granted, I'm giving it power by putting it in the lineup, but there is still kind of credence to it because let's face it, Tiger, Peter hasn't long since hit the jackpot. Unless it's the Ultimate Universe, which I know Agent 70 had mentioned that earlier, but I don't know if that is the reason why they're doing it, and I would hate for that to be the main reason why it's not happening, but it makes sense.
Right.
Because he's already got it. They're already together in the Ultimate Universe at this point. How long that's going to stay the case, judging by that first issue, may probably still is going to continue to be the case in some fashion, but we don't know because that's brand new.
So speaking of the Ultimate Universe and the Ultimate Spider-Man, the new version of the Ultimate Spider-Man. So in a preview of Ultimate Spider-Man #2, it reveals that the series' first official supervillain is a redesign of the Shocker. And it's actually a pretty cool looking redesign. It's very tactical, very modern, very much an ultimate take on the Shocker.
Very much a ready to be seen in the MCU design.
Yeah, agreed.
Which that was Jamie Foxx, wasn't it?
No, Jamie Foxx was Electro.
Electro? Okay, yeah, I don't know that. Either way,
the Shocker, the Shocker's basically already appeared in the MCU. Remember, he was one of the henchmen for the Vulture.
Right, and got taken out. I remember that. That's why I was like, wait, I got confused by that whole thing. So regardless, hey, this is Ultimate Universe. Anything can still go in this. So, when does this come out? Actually, I know it's soon. It's got to be soon because the last one, February 21st. So actually, not technically soon. So yeah, all right, good stuff. Next up, though, Oh, so there is a trailer for Spectacular Spider-Man. Number 1, from Greg Weisman and Humberto Ramos. The new series, which is a comic book, not an animated series. Don't get your hopes up. Is going to arrive on May 6th. And like I said, there's a trailer, which it still trips me out that they're doing trailers for comic books.
Mm-hmm.
I had to watch this, but I think I saw a tease of, I think the tease trailer of this. I think I saw. So, by the way, the Marvels lands on Disney Plus on February 7th. That'll keep me from having to do that next week. By the by.
You know what's funny? It's about time they did something like this.
What?
Because like a team up book between the two.
Yes.
Like a team up book.
Yeah, because there was that one all ages miniseries that came out, which was actually kind of fun. From a few months ago, that was cool. But yeah, a in-universe team up book with them two. That's may or may not take shades from the animated series. I still thought that this was taking place in that world, but it doesn't seem to be the case. They're just using the name, and it happens to be the dude that's writing it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I agree with you on that one. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to this only because I really want to see what Weissman does with this. This is pretty fun.
Yeah, I feel like there's still going to be shades of that thing, even though, like, I don't know that for certain because I've only seen a little bit of that show, and I know you have.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see.
I love that show. I watched that a million times. I have and I bought it on iTunes, but now I believe it's on Disney Plus.
Mm-hmm. And I think I have a physical copy back there of the season.
Yeah, I have physical, right?
Yeah.
Physical and digital copies. So
yeah. So either way,
anyway,
yeah, I also am looking forward to this because it seems like it's going to be cool. Next up,
Spider-Man 2's Miles Morales comes alive in an epic new statue by Diamond Select Toys. Okay. So it's a PVC. It's a Diamond Select Toys Marvel Gallery Diorama Game Reverse Miles Morales Deluxe PVC statue. Looking for price and release date. So the Miles Morales statue is priced at $80 and is slated for release in late summer of 2024. Pre-orders open up today.
Mm-hmm.
Opened up today, January 26th.
Yes. Flipping through.
Well, technically yesterday, since we have now crossed over into January 27th, but that is, current time.
Yeah, the day we started recording this.
Right.
But yeah, that's so this statue looks all right. It's a statue, not a figure, but some people like those. Next up, though, speaking of figures, there was a Hasbro fan stream recently on the Star Wars side of things, and folks were getting some stuff for the vintage collection. Excuse me. So we got Sabine, looks like with Chopper and a couple of Lothcats. Wait, is this all together? Yeah, it's a 4-pack with oh, whoa. Okay, it's an Amazon exclusive 4-pack of Ahsoka, R7, A7, Chopper. Why do they have cheap on here? What are they doing? Oh, wait, no, wait, who the hell is cheap? That's, you know what? Droids and RGG1, GG from Star Wars: The Clone Wars, a Cobb Vanth from The Mandalorian with Boba Fett armor. Let's see, a deluxe Black Series pack with IG-12, Grogu, and Zelen from the Mandalorian Season 3, an Amazon exclusive 3-pack from Star Wars Jedi Survivor, and a premium role-play helmet modded after Moff Gideon, still to be revealed according to this article. There's a 2-pack of Sabine and Chopper. There we go. That's what that was. And it looks like, I guess that's some Lothcats back underneath her. Commander Rex from the Bad Batch version, and Luke Skywalker and X-Wing gear from A New Hope, which you would think they would have had that. Oh, and the Thrawn, of course, that was from the Black Series. Was all announced a couple of days ago. as I'm scrolling through the images. Looks good. Oh yeah, and there's a droid deca.
All right. So I'm going to take some issue and kind of complain about the face sculpt on the Sabine action figure because Natasha Liu Bordizzo is beautiful. That is not a beautiful face sculpt.
That's not even the animated version face sculpt. Or
That's
the animated.
that's not good. That is not good.
Yeah, it's not great. It's not great at all.
That absolutely not good.
Oh, there's also an X Woves. Because let's see, yeah, X Woves, Mandalorian from the Mines, Grogu. There's a Rex. There's that, and the Droid Deca, and Phase 1 Clone Trooper, and there's the Thrawn figure. There you go. Which looks like the from the Ahsoka series. So there you go.
Okay, next up. Disney's Lorcana announces launch dates for the 2024 sets and reveals a new intro or introductory product. So we have Into the Inklands, February 23rd, 2024, at local game stores, Disney parks, and March 8th, 2024 at mass retail and Shop Disney, and 3 more to be announced May 17th, in May 2024, August 2024, and November 2024.
Yep, they're coming out a whole new door, as the Joker would say. I actually finally got me some packs.
So, congrats!
Yay! Yeah. Next up, though, hey, you like Star Wars books? You can grab a bunch for cheap on Humble Bundle, which, you should go to if you like books and video games and want to help out a charity. Humble Bundle is probably the place to go. Not a sponsor, just saying. But the All I Need to Know I Learned from Star Trek Bundle, as it's called, offers fans 18 books, including novels, behind-the-scenes looks, and more. I don't think the owner's manual for the Enterprise is in there, but who's to say, because I hadn't looked at the bundle. But looks like Star Trek Prometheus, Star Trek Picard, the Collector's Edition, the Best of Star Trek magazine, etc., etc., etc. And the bundle is valued at $293, but can only cost lowers of $18, or how much you want to play above that starting price. Actually, I'm gonna take a very quick look at this bundle to see if the thing I mentioned is in there, and I doubt it very is. But yeah, you can see some magazines, Star Trek Picard, there's some other books, some other magazines. Yeah, that's nope. Definitely not the thing that I was looking for. So okay. Which I already have a copy, so it doesn't matter. Next up.
So a Kickstarter to republish Disney's older Gargoyles comics has met its funding in a single day. Started by Dynamite Comics, the current publisher of an ongoing title for the franchise. The goal was met not long after it went live. So, let's see. So the newest Gargoyles comics include Gargoyles from 2022, Gargoyles Dark Ages 2023, and the newly begun Gargoyles Quest 2024. These titles are all available from Dynamite Comics, which has been spearheading current Disney comic projects. Okay.
It's true, because I've been reading most of those. And having not seen the show, I like the books.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
I love the show. I mean, it got a little wonky towards the end, but and I don't even think I watched all of it, but it's definitely fun, at least in the beginning.
Judging by some of the stuff that's come up in the book, I can kind of imagine. And his Weissman, Greg Weissman, who's writing the book. So, he's basically the next whatever season 8 or whatever the next season was. But yeah, so those actually, funny enough, I think I went looking for these books for a while back for a reason. But not surprising that these books that the Kickstarter did, because there are Gargoyles fans out there in droves. So, yeah, it was not surprised that this went through as quick as it did. And so there you go, folks. Next up, though, Skybound's Cobra Commander #1 confronts a lingering G.I. Joe controversy. I talked about this last week, so I won't really go too much far into it. Hey, Cobra Commander, there was a whole backstory that the book with I not said this last week, but with him and his dealings with Cobra La. That is taken up. Exactly. Which, as I said then, I wasn't expecting them to kind of bring that forward into continuity, but I guess it is now. So that was actually a good read. I think that was my click of the week last week.
Oh my god!
And
anyway,
actually, yeah, going into the next article.
So Cobra Commander apparently awakens Megatron in new Energon universe trailer for an upcoming comic book. Okay.
So this is what I alluded to last week, also with this, with that book, and the tying of the two universes that are pretty interestingly done. I would say, compared to again the aforementioned Hasbro outing from a few years ago.
Gotcha.
So, but yeah, apparently, spoiler alert, Cobra Commander was hiding Megatron and Cobra La and using him for technological gains.
That's all I gotta say.
Yeah. And I think if I remember at the end of that book, I think it is assumed that Megatron was awake. Or was awakened. But at the end of Transformers issue #4, we also see Megatron at the end of that issue, but it might have inferred something from past this, because the Cobra Commander book is basically takes place in the past, and when we see Megatron in the Transformers book, could be still in a similar state, but not where he was. I don't know, because there was questions abound. Regardless, next book, next story, excuse me.
Alrighty, next up, wait, so you did the Rush to Second Printing?
No, that's the one. That's the one you're doing.
No, because I talked about Awakens Megatron.
Oh, okay, well, fine. Hey, guess what?
I was about to say, you should do all of these Cobra Commander stories together. I'll jump to the next one.
You know what? Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah, sure. Hey, the Cobra Commander #1's got a second printing. And also, actually, it said in this article that Duke #1 also got a second printing. So there you go with that. And next up after that is, hey, a preview for Cobra Commander #2, in which, as I alluded to when talking about the book, he runs into some dreadnoks. Or according to this cover, he's gonna run into some dreadnoks. Because he's looking for some things, and there's some preview pages that I just blew through. There you go. Next up,
Geralt of Rivia is forced out of retirement in The Witcher Corvo Bianco. So this is a preview for a new miniseries, which marks the U.S. Comics debut of acclaimed Italian artist Corrado Mastantuono. Okay. And it looks pretty good. So this is penned by Bartosz Stybor. That's a European name if I ever saw one. Stybor.
Yeah, I believe that is the creator. That is the creator of the Witcher series, and I believe
he's also the writer of the current Witcher arc.
Right.
Yeah,
I believe he's Polish.
Yeah. The SZ. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah,
the S definitely comes from that part of the world.
Yeah. So there you go.
All right.
And I've been seeing his name on a lot more stuff lately. So I was like, okay, that's good. He's getting. I think there was a little bit of issue with him not getting money from the Witcher stuff. From CD Projekt Red. Well, regardless, that's another.
Yeah, the cover is nice. That cover is nice looking.
Totally, it is. Actually, yeah. Let me go back real quick and show it again. There you go. Oh yeah. All right. Next up, Kevin Eastman will be drawing Blood this April at Image Comics. So, yeah, if you don't know who Kevin Eastman is, he's the creator of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Duh. But he teams up with and former publisher of I didn't know he helped publish Heavy Metal magazine. I did not know that. Teams up with writer David Avalone, and artist Ben Bishop, and Troy Little for the upcoming Drawing Blood. It's a 12-issue maxi series, this is called, that was launched during a Kickstarter and will reach a larger audience in April, published by Image Comics. The completely fictional true stories of Shane Books' Bookman sums it up the best, said Eastman, set squarely in our collective world of comics, part autobiographical, part tall tales and legends. I wanted a fictional character that we could really put through the paces. Drawing Blood is all that in a bag of kittens. That is a quote from Kevin Eastman. So, and there's some preview pages in here if you're interested in that. Next up.
All right, 4 artists for the relaunch of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles have been announced. So, let's see. So, we know that Jason Aaron is relaunching, and now we know we're getting 4 artists on it. So apparently, let's see here. Wait, are they doing covers?
So it seemed like they're. I wondered about that.
Are there individual issues? They're like they're spotlighting each turtle in each issue.
Right.
Okay, so number 1 is Raphael, and it's by Jason Aaron and Joel Jones. Number 2 is Michelangelo, by Jason Aaron, of course, and Raphael Albuquerque. Number 3 is Spotlighting Leonardo, and it's written by Jason Aaron and with art by Cliff Chang. And number 4 is Donatello with Jason Aaron writing with art by Chris Burnham.
My boy Donnie. I'm looking forward to Raphael getting thrown through another skylight, which I don't know if it's just Jason here is going to do, but it's funny the number of times that has happened over the past few years from what I've seen.
Wait, so Paramount has the Turtles licensing now?
Mm-hmm. Nickelodeon specifically.
That's right. Nickelodeon. That's right. Because Eastman and Laird. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But now Eastman's kind of back in on things in a way. I don't think they got the license back, but they're still a part of the franchise. Or
right.
Yeah, because Laird sold his part. You're the whole thing.
Yeah. Listen, what was it? The Toys That Made Us episode is awesome. Now it makes me want to circle back and watch that.
Yep, it certainly
That's
is.
such a great episode.
It is. Yes, sad also, but definitely a great episode.
Yeah, because it brings them back together.
Mm-hmm.
That's like we actually saw like a full circle moment in that episode. I definitely listen, folks. We've been on this show. This is a long episode. We're 2.5+ hours. But if I end this show on any note, is to go recommend that particular episode of The Toys That Made Us, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles one, because it shows Eastman and Laird at the end coming back together.
I'm gonna go further and say I agree with that, but also just The Toys That Made Us in general, because the whole series is pretty good, and the movie that made us is also pretty good. And I believe, actually, I did not know Ncell has a comedy streaming channel now, but I guess I didn't know they branched off into that. But I was thinking they did a Star Trek, they did a Star Trek thing, I think, of which I still don't think I've seen the whole of it. But I think they kind of did that style for Star Trek. That's probably out there somewhere, I'm sure, but I don't think I got to see the whole of it because they basically put 4 out, like a couple of episodes out publicly, and then the rest was behind a paywall or something. I don't remember, but either way, Ncell was doing some great stuff. So if you get a chance to watch any of those series, yeah, you're in for a treat. Last story for tonight: experience cartoons like never before in Uncanny Valley. So it says here, fan favorite writer Tony Fleeks from Stray Dogs and acclaimed illustrator Dave Watcher from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles team up for a wild ride of cartoon mayhem, family drama, and deadly secrets in Uncanny Valley at Boom Studios, coming 2024. If you're watching the video version, you can see either a variant cover or the cover, or this is the main cover. And you can see the cartoon inspirations that are all up and through here. This thing, and also weirdly reminiscent, at least to me, of a Stranger Thing type situation, but I can't say that for certain. But according to this, and I'll read it real quick, Oliver is seemingly a typical 12-year-old boy, except for the mysterious family history that seems to start and end with his mother. Oh, and his unexplainable powers, that is. He can do things other boys can't, to the point of landing himself in some trouble. Baffled by the surreal, cartoonish nature of his abilities, and followed by a murder of particular crows. And if you did not know, a bunch of crows is a murder, so yeah. Begins to pull the thread on the secrets of his family that his family has kept from him for so long. So if that sounds interesting to you, then hey, that's a book that is coming. Lord, this press release. Good Lord. Does it say? Spring 2024. Outside of that, I don't see any other date outside of that, though. And with that, folks, that is the end of the news section. Can we get the one last ad read?
Our last ad read of the night. You know what we read when it's late and we're tired. Keep our podcast free by shopping at Amazon. Visit cspn.us, then click the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down and click on the Amazon link to shop. Purchase items from Amazon as you normally would, whether it's books, music, electronics, jewelry, apparel, or Marvel Legends. For every purchase made on Amazon through our link, Amazon sends the CSPN a payment that helps us keep the Comic Book Chronicles podcast free for our listeners at no extra cost to you. Amazon.com through cspn.us. Please do it today.
All right, folks, we made it. You made it. This was a long one. Trust me, they're not going to always be this long because we're still kind of in a dry period. the beginning of the year is always kind of dry for a lot of stuff. But
for show and media stuff, yeah.
Exactly. So, but comic book news is gonna continue to come out when it may, and ramp up by the time it gets to Comic-Con. But regardless, I would also say, which I forgot to say, that April solicitations are out there, and you can check that out in the show notes if you're so interested in your publisher of choice. That might be out there, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be some more news coming out of that in the coming weeks, certainly. And with that, folks, I have been Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter. You can find me at News Nerds Need on Twitter. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram. Agent_70 on Twitter and Instagram and Threads. PC_Dirt on Twitter. PopCultureNet on Twitter. PopCultureNetwork.com as well as the umbrella sites therein. Stay tuned for his home remodeling show that was probably going to be coming at some point. We don't know. But that may or may not be a joke, folks. I don't know. Tim DOGG98 on Twitter, CB Cron on Twitter, which is the Comic Book Chronicles Twitter account, the Kliq Nation on Twitter, and last but never ever least, he's over at comicbook.com writing his face off. You can find this here podcast on the Coastal of the Podcast Network. That's ESPN.
Oh, sorry about that.
That's
fast on the trigger.
Yeah, a little bit, but that's all right. CSPN.us.
Do it today.
You can also find us on your podcast perusal place of choice, would be Google Play, Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, on the Coastal of the Podcast Network's SoundCloud page.
Make sure to click like, subscribe, and leave us all 5-star reviews, especially on Apple Podcasts.
That was weird. Okay. And of course, we stream mostly every
Just
Thursday.
a reminder, folks.
Yeah. Wait, what? Reminder?
Oh, about but just a reminder.
Yeah. We normally stream record on Thursday nights, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time on the YouTube channel of The Kliq Nation. That's youtube.com/The Kliq Nation and twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles. But we are in an anime season of sorts because Agent 70's living his anime dreams out. And we're going to probably record on days like today, which is a Friday and not a Thursday. In the coming
Well, not
weeks.
every Friday. You know, we have
in the coming
exactly.
weeks.
Just be aware. We're going to be keeping our schedule updated with you folks on the show and via the socials. Just stay informed and hit that notification button so you know when we're recording. So if you want to tune in live, you'll find us. But always expect our podcast to be posted. Probably in the early part of the week.
Yeah, per usual. And with that, this has been the Comic Book Chronicles. Peace.
Peace. One.
Good evening, Red. Would you believe it's Doctor Doom?
What's on your evil mind?
Hold your insulting tongue and mark my words well.
How about this rumor that you are really Iron Man, Mr. Stark?